presentation of CBC Sports. At Skydome in Toronto, the Argonauts have done their best to sell football this season. Tonight is a game that should sell itself. The BC Lions, led by quarterback Doug Flutie, are in town. The Argonauts have been waiting for this game since the night in Vancouver when they suffered their first loss of the season. BC at Toronto in a special edition of the CFL on CBC. A month ago at BC Place, there was played one of the most exciting games of the season. The good ship Argonaut carried a cargo of 3 wins and no defeats, but lurking in the waters off the west coast were the BC Lions. The Argonauts never did get safely to shore. They were scuttled before the game ended.
Second and 10. Side to 10. Jay Christensen, touchdown. Raymond Etheridge on the kickoff return, finds a hole. Goodbye.
Last time we carried the Argos into overtime just to make it interesting. This time we'll put them away early.
Foggy for Gerald Smith in the end zone. Touchdown, easy. Pinball Clemens on this punt return. Adam Rita said he can make you miss in a phone booth. And he is going all the way.
It was a scoring test. This one's going to be a lot of scoring too, but it won't be the Lions. The Argonauts are going to get them, baby. Stay tuned.
Skydome, they've come to expect excitement and should get it tonight from the league's 2 most exciting teams. The Argonauts can score in bunches, and the Lions have made a habit of pulling victory out in the final minute. Welcome to Skydome, which tonight should be a stage for some of the biggest stars the CFL has to offer. Matt Dunnigan, Rocket Ismail, and Pinball Clemens are used to starring on this stage for the Argonauts, but tonight they may have to share it with the BC quarterback. Other teams, it seems, know what Doug Flutie's going to do. They just can't stop him. And with more on that, here are Steve Armitage and Joe Gillette.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everyone. It's good to have you with us. Tonight's game does indeed feature 2 of the most exciting and explosive quarterbacks in the CFL, in Matt Dunnigan and Doug Flutie. And, you know, Adam Rita said that if they're going to beat the Lions, they have got to stop and contain Flutie. Easier said than done.
Well, that's easier said than done, because you not only have to contain Flutie on the front side, you've also got to contain him from the backside. He loves to spin out and around. He got those 15 touchdowns this year by moving around and avoiding people like a matador.
And Doug Flutie has special reason to perform well tonight. His parents will be in the crowd here at the Skydome. Matt Dunnigan will start for the Toronto Argonauts. Did not start for the Argos at BC Place Stadium.
Well, Matt Dunnigan, if Flutie's the matador, Matt Dunnigan's the bull. He'd like to run over people, and that's why he's been injured so often. He's just too tough for a quarterback, and when he's played, he's done an excellent football job scoring points, but he hasn't played all the time.
Matt Dunnigan and Doug Flutie, 2 of the stars, will be watching tonight. Now let's go back down the sidelines and join Scott O. Scott?
Steve, it's an exciting brand of football, this CFL game, but as scores keep going up, people start wondering where defenses went. On Live at the Half, Argonaut linebacker Don Moen will state the case for the defense, and CFL Commissioner Donald Crump will update us on the Ottawa situation. Is the purchase close at hand? We'll find out on Live at the Half. The kickoff is up next at Skydome. There's been reason to celebrate in Ottawa since Joe Ferragelli took over. The Riders have won 3 in a row, and Reggie Barnes has become the leader of an effective Ottawa offense. The Hamilton Tiger Cats are streaking, but in the opposite direction. This despite talent on special teams and in the offensive backfield. Hamilton at Ottawa, Thursday night on the CFL on CBC.
Welcome back to the Skydome in Toronto. Normally, we don't give you the weather conditions because we're playing in the Dome, but tonight the Dome is open. Temperature 30 degrees plus. It is very hot, hazy, and humid, with the accent on humid. It's going to be a hot night for that man down on the sidelines, making a return to the Skydome. Of course, he coached the Argos for 7 years, over 70 victories, but this is his first game back as the head coach of the BC Lions against his former team. Adam Rita with a 5-2 record since becoming a head coach in the CFL. And Kalesic will kick things off for the Toronto Argonauts. This game is underway. The return match, Argos and Lions. This is Etheridge. Bit of a hole up the middle, and Etheridge gets up to the 37-yard line, where the BC Lions will have pretty good field position for Doug Flutie and company. A 63-yard kick and a 25-yard return. Keith Costello there to make the stop for the Argos.
Well, Doug Flutie hasn't had the rushing statistics that he had last year. He was the leading rusher last year, but he doesn't need to do that. He's got Volpe in the backfield this year. He can do the rushing for him.
First and 10 Lions from their own 37. Opening play of the game offensively. The pitch to Volpe, right side. He cuts it up. Good hole. And Volpe very close to picking up the first down. And that is what Bob Obilovich wanted to do, establish that running game. Harold Hallman over there to make the stop on Volpe.
Well, all quarterbacks love to see second down and 1 yard to go for the first down because the defense has no reaction time. You could do anything and it looks good. Of course, Volpe's had that bad foot, but it doesn't look like it's bothered him. He's been able to get his shoe fixed up so that his toe never has to be flexed, his big toe. So he's out there playing on 9 toes, and he's better than most backs with 10 toes.
He has a special plate in his left shoe to protect that toe so that it doesn't move. It's a hairline fracture of the big toe. Very painful. Nothing they can do about it. Just takes time to heal it. 2nd and 1 for the Lions from the 46. Flutie keeps himself. A sure bet play. Quarterback sneak.
There's been some sparks flying before the ball game about Hallman and Ian Sinclair. The nose tackle for Argos, and Ian Sinclair had a real battle in their last outing. So it didn't look like Hallman took a cheap shot, but you're going to have to watch for that as the game goes on. But other than Hallman, Brian Warren has got to get some rush. He's got to be one of those people that contain Flutie. Darryl Ford has to help on the pass. And, of course, they've got to get some good coverage out there because Flutie will buy some time.
1st and 10 Lions from their own 49. Flutie to roll. Under pressure. They lose 1 tackle. Gets the pass away. Complete to Etheridge. Etheridge caught it. He had the first down. It would have been where they mark his forward motion. Don Wilson over there to make the stop for the Argos.
Well, that's exactly what the Argos were talking about. Flutie is got to be contained on both sides and up the middle. Harding's got a chance at him, but Flutie has that patent spin around and go out the other way, and he buys the time for Etheridge to get open.
They've moved the ball into Argos territory. Lions now 1st and 10 from the Toronto 48. The pitch to Volpe. And this time there is no hole for Volpe. He loses 3 yards. Darryl Ford with good lateral speed, recognizing that play and putting the stop on Volpe.
Well, they had the corner, but Darryl Ford just came up and did a good job of turning the play back inside, and there's no place to go. Obilovich was talking about Volpe. He said, you know, the only problem is a little bit of pain when he makes that cut on the foot, so they're very matter-of-fact about the pain he's going through, but he's a courageous ball player.
They rule a loss of 2, so it's 2nd and 12 Lions from the 50. Flutie with time. And he intended that for Jay Christensen. Christensen got just a piece of it, but was unable to hang on. Good coverage from Don Wilson.
Christensen is 6'4", and they want to get him across on a bending, over the middle. Wilson comes right over top of it. The ball can only be thrown high. It's too high for a 6'4" player.
And Wilson being in that position in front of Christensen may have forced a high throw. Louis Pusaglia to punt. The rocket and the pinball. Back to receive this punt. And it's going to Raghib Ishmael at the goal line. The rocket gets out to the 10 where flags go down. When we come back, we'll have the flags straightened out for you. No score. First quarter at the Skydome. Welcome back to the Sky Dome in Toronto, where the Toronto Argonauts have the ball, and Matt Dunnigan gets the start at quarterback. The Argos are 1st and 10 from the 4. Matt Dunnigan last week in a loss to the Edmonton Eskimos. Not a bad night, but the Argos did not come up with the 2 points. And if you talk to Matt Dunnigan anytime, he'll tell you that it's more important for the team to win than for Matt Dunnigan to have a good game.
He is so intense this week. You can see it in his eyes. He wants to come out and play a good ball game. He's been very anxious. He's only played about 13 full ball games for the Argos. He's really anxious to get things going to show he's their leader.
An illegal block on the punt return has the Argos in a hole. They're 1st and 10 from their own 4-yard line. They give the pinball, big hole. And a good run by Mike Pinball Clemens gets him up across the 22-yard line. Wetmore and Andrew Thomas there to make the stop. A 16-yard gain for Mike Clemens.
Well, Toronto came out and they put 4 receivers to one side of the field, and that really causes problems when you're in man-to-man coverage. You got to get out and cover everybody. There's nobody left to tackle Pinball when he comes out on the draw play.
That gets the Argos out of a big hole in a hurry. They are now 1st and 10 from their own 22. Go back to the well again. Give it to Pinball. Only this time, the gain is about a yard or 2. Mark Jones there to make the stop for the Lions.
Well, they zoned it up, and what they were able to do that time was to come in and get a little better support from their linebackers. So Brigance came up and helped on the tackle, and Holmes will be in there and be really active. But Dunnigan's got the tools, and Adam Rita talked about Darrell K. Smith, Mike Clemens, and, of course, the Rocket. And those are his guns. That's what he calls them. Adam Rita calls them his guns.
2nd and 9 Argos. And again, they go to Pinball. Reverses his field. Does not quite have enough for the 1st down. But he's not shy by much. Wetmore and Bruce Holmes, who is starting at middle linebacker for the Lions tonight, combining on the tackle.
Well, that's a counter draw play, and you can see what Pinball did is he didn't run the hole. He ran completely back on it. There's not many players that can run a cutback on a counter play, but Pinball just did that, and there's got to be some people shaking their heads saying, what do I got to do to stop this guy?
Shy of the 1st down by about the nose of the football. Jake Ireland, the referee tonight. Man with the black hat wearing number 62. 3rd and about half the length of the football for the Argos. The ball resting just shy of their own 32-yard line. Dunnigan keeps and goes to the right side. There was a bit of a hole there, 2 or 3 yards the gain for Dunnigan, but more importantly, the 1st down.
Well, BC's defense has to be really alert on everything that Toronto does. And, you know, they got to get the pressure from Stu Hill. Bruce Holmes back in the middle linebacking position. And, of course, Chris Major's got to do a whale of a job on those wideouts.
1st and 10 for Toronto from their own 34. Good fake to Pinball, and then the pass intended for Kevin Smelly, and it's incomplete.
What they wanted to do was to set up that counter screen pass, and it really works like a middle screen because of the way the defense flows. Adam Reed is thinking, well, if the screen doesn't work, maybe we'll have good pass protection tonight.
He hopes. All teams in the CFL realize the importance of having a running game. Adam Rita certainly no exception. Like 100 yards, and he doesn't care how he gets it. 2nd and 10 for the Argos. Dunnigan rolling out, has a man open, complete. That's Jeff Boyd, and Boyd forced out at the 40-yard line by Andrew Thomas.
Now Jeff Boyd is coming down. He reads the coverage. What they're doing is rolling the corners up to take away the short pass, to take away the 10-yard pass. But Matt throws the ball about 20 yards downfield, and they have an excellent 1st down play.
A little bit more than 20, Joe. 36 yards, the length of the gain for the Argos. They are now 1st and 10 from the Lions' 40. Still no score. Opening quarter here at the Skydome. They give to Smelly the first man through. Good fake from Dunnigan. Took a few players with him.
This is extremely tough on the defense because they're splitting their receivers out so wide. They're not getting a lot of help inside. And you just know what's going to happen. They're going to come down here and throw that ball to those receivers in a flood pattern eventually.
A gain of 5 on that running play. It is 2nd and 5 from the Lions' 35. This time Dunnigan keeps them in, pitches to Clemens. Clemens tripped up at the 25-yard line by Ken Watson.
That's a good play by Dunnigan. He made sure that his man took him, and then he came out and pitched the ball out to Clemens. Pinball looks like he's got a little bit of a problem here on right knee. Matt has to he's got to make sure that that defender takes him before he pitches the ball. He essentially blocks the defender that is responsible for him, and he gets Pinball in the open. You see Matt coming down the line, and he's got to have the patience to make sure that that outside man doesn't come off of him and take the ball. He couldn't do it. Now the defensive secondary has to come up and make the hit, but not before they get the first down.
And you can imagine the concern on the Toronto Argonaut bench as they look at Pinball Clemens down on the field, obviously injured and in pain.
Well, normally when your leg's up in the air, you don't have a big problem. It's when it's planted, so let's hope that it's nothing serious.
Mike Clemens, the MVP in the Canadian Football League last season, off to a great start this year for the Toronto Argonauts.
More or less looked like a whiplash, you know. The thing looked like it moved a little bit, and that's painful, but not often serious. So
Clemens came into this game with 320 yards rushing, 350 yards receiving. No score. First quarter here at the Skydome. Stay with us. More action to come. Welcome back to the Skydome in Toronto, where we are still awaiting our first score in this game between the BC Lions and the Toronto Argonauts. Good news for the Argos and their fans. Mike Clemens coming off the field under his own steam, limping, favoring his right leg. And it looks as if J.P. Izquierdo will take the place of Mike Clemens in the Argos backfield.
Which sets up more options. They run a diamond bone out of 4 people in the backfield, and you might see that with J.P. Izquierdo in there.
J.P. Izquierdo has roots in Cuba, born in Florida, went to school in Calgary. An interesting route to the Argos. Toronto now 1st and 10 from the Lions' 25-yard line. A pitch to J.P. Izquierdo, and he picks up about 4 or 5 yards around the left side. O.J. Bergantz there to make the stop for BC.
You want to know what kind of guy Dunnigan is? I mean, here's a guy that's had injury problems. He's just run 3 option plays on this drive. You think he's concerned about injuries? You know, in an option play, you have to take out one of the defenders, and that's what he's doing.
I can't think of a better quarterback in the CFL to run that option because he is so athletic and he is so physical. He doesn't mind taking a hit. 2nd and 8 for the Argos. Dunnigan puts it up. Touchdown! J.P. Izquierdo.
J.P. Izquierdo did exactly what Pinball Clements does. He got right down the seam in that zone coverage, and a perfectly thrown pass just led him right over the shoulder. Not often an easy catch when it comes in over the shoulder, but J.P. pulled it in. And Cuba, Florida, Calgary, Toronto, he's here for a touchdown.
Lance Chomick is good with the point after, and the Toronto Argonauts take to the scoreboard with a 23-yard strike from Matt Dunnigan to that man, J.P. Izquierdo. His first touchdown in the CFL.
You can see Matthew just step, plant, and put the ball out there perfectly. But he shredded the defense. He went right into that seam. We said he was intense before the game, and he is pumped up now. Look how happy he is. He took his team down and got the first touchdown.
And what a break for J.P. Izquierdo. At the expense of Mike Pinball Clemens, he goes down and gets injured. 2 plays later, J.P. Izquierdo has his first touchdown in the CFL.
And J.P. is one of those players that goes on all the kick coverage teams. He is downfield making tackles, and it's kind of nice to see one of the special teams players, the guy who's unselfish and dedicated, that goes down and does all of the things you have to do in hot, humid weather. It's nice to see him get some points for it.
Ilisic with the kickoff. Etheridge with the return at the 25. And flags go down as Raymond Etheridge gets up to the 35-yard line. We'll have to see what those flags are all about. A 62-yard kick and a 22-yard return from Etheridge. Let's go down the sidelines. And Scott Oak. Scott?
Steve, on the Argonaut bench, the good news is that Pinball Clemens, CFL's most valuable player of a year ago, is up and walking around. They believe it's just a slight strain of his left knee. They don't think it's anything serious. If he's able to shake it off, he could return to this game.
Blocking from behind against the BC Lions, charged against Mark Jones. That makes it 1st and 10 Lions from their own 20. Flutie gives to Volpe. Not much running room for Volpe on that right side. A gain of about 2.5 yards.
The theory, of course, that they're trying to do here, if they're going to get a lot of upfield containment on Doug Flutie, then they should have the roll-out draw play, which is what they tried to do. They tried to execute it on this play, but Hallman, we said there's going to be a tough matchup in there. You know, Hallman's coming out there, but Donnie Moen is in there as well.
2nd and 8 BC from their own 22. Argos lead 7-0 first quarter. Flutie has time. Now pressure. Flutie eludes the pressure. Throws downfield looking for Jay Christensen. That's intercepted. Argos.
You know, Doug Flutie just made an amazing move. Brian Warren was coming in and had an angle on him. Watch Flutie as they got a perfect angle on him, and he feels Brian Warren. I mean, eyes in the back of your head or out your ear holes, whatever. He takes an angle away from Warren so that he has time to deliver the ball, and then it's a jump ball. Hallman is going to have a fight for this particular ball game, and Jamie Terrace is going to be in there. He's going to be helping out his buddy. He and Sinclair will need some help on Hallman if it goes true to form as it did the last time these two clubs met.
And the Argos get a break from the officials. They ruled that that ball was out of bounds when taken by Don Wilson. So it means a 3rd down situation and a punt for Louis Prisaglia, not one of his best. And a bad bounce for the BC Lions. So the Toronto Argonauts, when we come back, will have excellent field position from which to start this drive. To say this is a crucial game for the Toronto Argonauts, putting it mildly. Winnipeg now beginning to put some heat on the Argos in the battle for first place in the East. Toronto on top by 2. Ottawa with that win over Hamilton a couple of days ago, making a move. Calgary still the leaders in the West, but Edmonton only 2 points behind. The BC Lions would love a win here tonight to move into a tie with the Eskimos. Saskatchewan, with their new head coach, Tom Matthews, have to get their act together if they're going to make a playoff spot at 91. I don't think Adam Reed is too concerned about making a playoff spot, but he certainly like a win over the BC Lions to even the score so far this season between these two teams. Argos 1st and 10. Quick pass to the Rocket. He juggled it. picked up about a yard maybe. Ken Watson was covering on the play.
Well, you know, that's that east-west football. When you throw that ball east and west, you don't usually get the things that you get done north and south.
Well, that was a big concern for Obi at the beginning of the season, his young team. But he has certainly got a lot of faith in youth. He continues to play these young players, and he thinks he's building a potential dynasty. Donegan puts it up, looking for Smith. Touchdown!
Well, there's that determined guy we just talked about. Matt Dunnigan rolled out, planted, turned back, and Darrell K. Smith put on a good fake, not to be denied. Watson was right on top of him, and there's two guys 6'4" fighting for the football. Darrell K. Smith won the fight, and Matt Dunnigan has 2 touchdown passes here in the first quarter.
And Lance Chomick has himself a point after a 41-yard strike from Matt Dunnigan to that man, Darrell K. Smith, his 5th touchdown reception this season. That's worth another look.
What Matt Dunnigan did by rolling to the strong side of the field is he took the free safety out of the picture, so it's one-on-one, Watson against Smith, and the coverage is good. But Darrell K. just went up at the right time, perfect timing to pick that ball out of the air. Watch Matt Dunnigan's reaction. You think he's not determined for this ball game? Put that fist up in the air, Matt. You know, he said before the game today, he says, you know, I don't know why people keep saying I'm muscular. I feel like I'm skinny. I'd like to have about 10 skinny guys protecting me like that.
Skinny he isn't. Very tough, and as you pointed out, a very determined quarterback. Remember, he's coming off that injury. Ricky Foggy has quarterbacked the Toronto Argonauts through most of the season. Dunnigan going out early and then coming back last week in that loss of the Eskimos. So he wanted a good game, and more importantly, 2 points for the Argos. Alessi kicks off. Lorenzo Graham. And he gets up to the 39-yard line. A 68-yard kick.
Really
and
surprised.
A 32-yard return.
Surprised to see Toronto use that scramble kickoff, because remember, that's what they used when Etheridge outran everybody and made that overtime kickoff return. But they're still using the same technique.
Well, Doug Flutie and the BC Lions offense need some offense right now. They are down 14-0. They are 1st and 10 from their own 39-yard line. 3:51 to play, opening quarter. Flutie buys time with the fake and then fires incomplete. He was looking for Raymond Etheridge. Etheridge got an arm on it, but the arm was going one way and he was going the other.
Well, Flutie made a super move just to get away from Rodney Harding. Rodney Harding is through clean. I mean, he puts a good move on, and Doug just stepped right up. You know what Flutie said? Hey, 2 touchdowns, that's nothing. I can come from 3 touchdowns behind.
BC Lions coming off a dramatic come-from-behind win over the Saskatchewan Roughriders in their last outing. Lions 2nd and 10 from their own 39. Flutie under pressure. And will they rule that a trap ball to John Volpe? That's what the Toronto Argonauts didn't want to have to do, is chase Flutie around all night. That killed him in that overtime loss at BC Place Stadium.
Well, you get into a hot, humid field like this, and you do all of that running. And Flutie is just terrific. He's the only guy I've been able to see to do that fish hook. Somebody's got him cold. He came in, just did a little fish hook, and then back to the outside and throws the football. Almost got a completion out of it. Flutie had trouble with the snap the last time.
One man back to receive for the Argos, and it's the Rocket.
And it's blocked. The Argos blocking the punt. It is scooped up. Touchdown, Toronto. Those special teams play
major part in every football game. They play 1/3 of the game. You know, 1/3 of the Canadian game is kicking. And most teams' responsibilities are to block outside. And what happens, Toronto gives a tremendous rush to the strong side of the field.
Shamik with the point after. And all of a sudden, the Toronto Argonauts are on top of the BC Lions 21-0.
Well, Toronto came through on an overload to the strong side of the field, and the rest is history. They came right in front of Louis. Their block point was right in front of his leg. They don't aim for where he was, they aim for where he will be. And this is a perfectly timed block of a punt. He aimed out in front of him, called the block point. Watch Louis kick the ball. They don't aim for the punter, but for the point where it's blocked.
And that's Masani who gets in to make the block, and then Kardash scooped up the loose ball and rumbled 17 yards for the touchdown. But it was that man, Paul Masani, who got on top of Louis Pasaglia before he could get the kick away.
And Paul Masani told us yesterday that Andrew Murray's getting a lot of the notoriety here, and he was going to do something about it today. He didn't tell us he was going to block the punt, but he just said that he was going to do something that would let people know that he was the other half of that Andrew Murray tangent. Paul Masani, Andrew Murray, they're like twins. They go everywhere together.
Remember last year in the Sky Dome, 68-43 favor the Argonauts. This year at BC Place Stadium, 52-41 in overtime favor the Lions. So I've got a feeling that this game is far from over in terms of scoring. But right now, it's all Argos, 21-0. Elesic to kick off following that touchdown. Etheridge takes it inside the 5. Looking for a hole. Found one. And Etheridge does well to get up the 25-yard line. Ed Brary is there to pull him down. A 71-yard kick from Hank Elesic and a 21-yard return from Etheridge.
Toronto wanted to cover Etheridge because they know what he did to them the last time. And like I said, they're using the scatter kickoff where they all bunched up and then they spread out and they come down. But what makes that go so well is Elesic's deep kicks. He's hard to judge on his kicks, and he gets it very deep. Good coverage by Toronto.
1st and 10, Toronto. Or make that Lions from their own 25. Flutie looking for Etheridge. Etheridge turned, and the ball was there. Talk about firing to a spot.
Well, that was perfect timing, because what Flutie did, he threw the ball before Etheridge made the cut. Etheridge turned, the ball's there. There's no chance for an interception. That's a perfectly thrown pass.
And that's a 7-yard pickup for the Lions. Ed Berry, who was covering on the play, is down on his knees. Chris Barber will come into the game for the Argos.
Sort of a reversal of the last time the Lions were out. Their special teams got them back in the ball game, got the onside kick, and that was a big play when they blocked Lou Pasaglia's kick.
His first ever TD coming off that block punt by Masati. He was in the right place at the right time to scoop it up and then rumble into the end zone.
But I know what you're thinking. Kardish is one of those big guys that can't run. Well, I drafted Kardish as a receiver, and he just got bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden he became a lineman, but he was a slot back at one time, so he knows how to run with the ball.
2nd and 3, BC. Flutie puts it up. And it's complete. Should be the first down by about a couple of yards. Christensen does well to hang on to the ball and then roll for the first down.
Well, they're telling the defensive backs to wake up, but if Doug Flutie keeps throwing like that, you can be awake, he'll still complete them.
Remember, in the first meeting between these two teams at BC Place Stadium, BC were down 24-3 at one point early in the game and then came back. Flutie dumps it off to Volpe. Volpe crosses the 51-yard line, rolls to the 52. That's good for the first down.
Well, they had Flutie contained, and he just stepped up inside, bought a little extra time, and dumped it out to John Volpe, and of course John with receptions is just as dangerous as he is when they give him the ball from the backfield.
1st and 10 BC from their own 52. They trail 21-0. The pitch to Volpe. Volpe has the hole. And then finally tripped up by Chris Mumford. Caught his shoe. And that forced him down to the turf.
Well, he's getting some good lead blocking. What he wanted to do was to make the cutback. And Ford missed the tackle, so when he did get the cutback, he just got shoe top there with Munford.
1st and 10 Lions from the Argos 46. Flutie has time, fires, complete to Christensen. Christensen with all sorts of open space down to the 15-yard line. Chris Gaines there to bring him down for Toronto.
What's impressive about Doug Flutie is that he's reading the coverages. It was a 3-deep zone. He got the ball between the backers and right in front of the defensive backs, just in a bend-in pattern. A nice run after he caught the ball by Christensen.
A 31-yard pickup for the BC Lions. It is now 1st and 10 BC from the Toronto 15. Flutie with time puts it up, and it's complete inside the 5-yard line. Ray Alexander giving the BC Lions excellent field position. We'll have it when we return. It's a hot and humid night in Toronto as you look outside the Sky Dome and then back down in where the BC Lions are on the move. They are 1st and goal to go from the Argos 5-yard line. Toronto lead 21-0. This is the opening game of the 2nd quarter. Flutie pitches to Volpe. Volpe cuts it back up in and gets down inside the 2-yard line.
Well, Hansen either went the wrong way or we had a problem because, as you can see, Flutie was motioning to get his slot back. Christensen out there, never got out there in time, so that's kind of tough for Volpe to run without a lead blocker. Hansen went the opposite way.
Don Wilson there to make the stop for the Argos. It is 2nd and goal to go. The ball's at the 2. Flutie just hands off to Volpe. Touchdown, BC. Great second effort from John Volpe. Bounced off of Brian Smith and Chris Mumford before getting into the end zone to give the BC Lions their first major score of the ballgame.
Well, here's a guy who has a sore, broken toe, and watch, he never stopped. His feet never stop moving. The determination is there. He keeps digging, scraping, fighting. He gets hit, still driving into the... He looks like Earl Campbell scoring, and I know he's not that big.
Louis Persaglia's point after is good. So the BC Lions were down 21-0, now trail by 14, 21-7.
You think that doesn't fire up your football club? You got a guy with a broken toe who shows you an effort like that. I think the defenders are going to be pumped up and ready to get back in there. But when you got Flutie in your arsenal, you're never out of it. Great job of taking the ball down the field by Flutie, and a great finish by John Volpe. That's a super effort. With a lot of pain and duress, he still got it in the end zone.
John Volpe, the master's graduate from Stanford University in California in engineering, no less.
He was probably figuring out the shortest distance between 2 points. The velocity it would take to get him into the end zone. Or maybe he was just saying, my foot hurts so bad if I don't score fast.
Julio Caravetta to kick off for the BC Lions. Smelly. Smelly loses the ball. Toronto have recovered at their own 42-yard line. Kevin Smelly. Now let's go down to the sidelines. Escato.
Steve, got an update on Mike Pinball Clemens. He will not return to this game tonight. In the considered judgment of the Argo medical staff, he shouldn't run the risk of playing again, although they maintain it is still just a slight sprain in his knee. Carl Brazeley was not a threat to play tonight because of a pulled hamstring. Carl will be talking to Don Moan about this on Live at the Half, but venture your opinion. Where has defense gone this year?
Well, I think, defense is as strong as always. I just think it's a case of the offensive coaches going into their bag of tricks and coming out with more complicated offenses. They get more skilled players. It's just been hard.
All right, good luck, and hope to see you play next week. All right, thanks.
Steve. Scott, on that play, Matt Dunnigan pitched to Rocket Ismail, who was the second man in the I formation. Andrew Thomas there to make the stop for the BC Lions, and the Rocket picks up 5 yards.
Well, we talked about east-west and north and south. The Rocket goes north-south as well as anybody. When he gets the football, he accelerates towards his goal line, and that's what you want out of a back. And he's played in the backfield before at Notre Dame.
J.P. Izquierdo, and he has the first down with a couple of yards to spare. Mayo there to make the stop for the BC Lions. Let's check the stats in that opening quarter.
Well, the big plays, of course, came on special teams. And, other than that, it's fairly even. The block kick and the short kick were two of the reasons why you can have the same stats and have a big lead like that. The time of possession, more on BC's side, interestingly enough, that Toronto would like to keep the points.
First and 10, Toronto. From their own 53-yard line. 3 receivers split to the right side. Dunnigan in bit of trouble. Looked like a missed play, bad communication there on the part of Dunnigan and his running back, Kevin
There's
Smelly.
Dunnigan. You can see him. I mean, you never have to wonder when Matt's in there. You know who messed up. He's looking for Izquierdo to pitch the ball out, and when he didn't find him, he ran over and told him about it. Watch him run over and tell JP, where are you? I want the pitch.
Remember, J.P. Izquierdo into the ball game in place of Pinball Clemens, who, as Scott pointed out, is gone for the game. Excellent fake there from Dunnigan. Even the cameraman decided to follow Smelly. This time, he completes the pass to J.P. Izquierdo. He is short of the first down by about 4 yards. Andrew Thomas and O.J. Bergantz there to make the stop for the Lions.
They ran the flood pattern again, and Matt was content to get the ball to the short receiver, thinking that his skill people, Darrell Kay and Rocket, would move those people back out of there, but they were in a zone coverage, so they just reacted up, and that's what the Lions defense has to do. They have to be able to react and change the coverages up against Toronto. They don't want to let Toronto know what defense they're going to be in, and they're doing a good job today of disguising their defense.
First punt of the game for Hank Olesic, and there is one receiver back, Raymond Etheridge. Not one of Hank's better punts, but again, a good bounce for the Argos. Etheridge at the 10. Etheridge down inside the 10. Good downfield coverage. Paul Nastasiuk, the former BC Lion, getting downfield to make the tackle. Welcome back to the Skydome in Toronto. Hot and humid evening, and so far the Argos have been the hottest of the two teams in terms of offense. They lead 21-7, but the BC Lions have the ball. They are first and 10, but in a bit of a hole. They're at their own 9-yard line.
Matthew Dunnigan is right now, he's telling Coach what he wants to do in the next series. You know what he said? I'll guarantee you he's talking about how they're playing that zone coverage, and he wants to go back to the short side of the field. We're going to see them go away from their 3 receiver side. I know Matt, he gets hungry. He wants to put the ball up.
He said all that in about 10 seconds. Flutie gives to Volpe. Volpe shakes off one tackle. Good running by Volpe. Upended at the 20-yard line, but there's a flag down inside the 10. Chris Mumford making the stop for the Argos. Don Moan got in there and had a good shot at Volpe.
I think Moan was offsides as well. He's calling
offside. Toronto number 36. Decline. First down.
So here you are, you're offsides. The coach is going to be upset with you. Then you miss a tackle, the coach is really going to be upset with you. But that's the strength of a Volpe. He's low to the ground. He's very muscular. and he drops his shoulder underneath people. He'll give you a strong hip when you try to hit him. He's a strong, powerful runner.
The BC Lions have improved their field position by 11 yards. They are 1st and 10 from their own 20. They trail 21-7, second quarter. Flutie intended that pass for Matt Clark. That would have been his first reception of the evening, but he couldn't hang on. The rookie out of Montana. Been one of the real pleasant surprises for Bob Obilovich.
When you have Flutie on your side, it's just a matter of time till you're going to score. I don't think Doug Flutie's ever lost a ball game. He's had a few where time ran out on him, but he's never lost one.
He's had 3 400-plus yards passing this season. And this time he completes to Jay Christensen, and that's good for the first down at the 31-yard line. Don Wilson was there to ride Christensen out of play.
Christensen is an inside receiver. He makes the cut right over by your coffee table in the living room, almost spills the beer. Watch him come over and catch that thing out of bounds. That's a perfectly executed play.
I think he just broke my coffee table. Jay Christensen pulled a hamstring in training camp. Is on the comeback trail. Gets better each time out. 1st and 10 BC from the 36. They give to Volpe. Volpe having the kind of night that Pinball Clemens was having before he was injured for the Argos. Chris Gaines there to make the stop.
This is what drives defensive coaches crazy. The play was drawn up to go through the 6-hole. Volpe breaks back and goes all the way through the 7-hole on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And the defensive coaches are wondering what they've got to do. Contain, watch out the running backs. Flutie can scramble.
2nd and 4 BC from their own 42. Almost picked off. That was intended for Tony Hunter, but it's incomplete.
Well, Tony Hunter has to keep running the route. He stopped and wanted the ball to come to him. You've got to go to the football. So it was a well-thrown ball, but Hunter stopped to wait for the ball. He's got to keep going on that.
So that will bring on the veteran punter for the BC Lions, Louis Pasaglia.
Louis had trouble. He's had the bad snap where he got a short kick, and he's had a kick block. Let's see how he does on this one.
The lone punt returner for the Argos, the Rocket. Tough bounce. But the Rocket is quick enough that he's able to recover, but there is no return for Toronto off of that kick by Louis Pasaglia. The Argonauts continue to lead BC in the second quarter, 21-7.
If it's scoring you want in football, then the CFL is your league, but has there been too much of it this season? On a bigger field with multi-talented players like Pinball Clemens and Rocket Ismail, is it possible to keep it under control? We'll discuss that with Toronto linebacker Don Mullen live at the half, and Commissioner Donald Crump will be with us to discuss the prospective sale of the Ottawa Rough Riders. The commissioner would like nothing better than to give up his job as president of that team. He's had it for a month now. Steve?
Scott, on that play, Matt Dunnigan pitched to the Rocket. He tried to find some running room on the right side.
Well, Rocket Ismail is not a track man that's playing football. He's a football man that ran some track. And if you don't believe it, look here. Shoulders pointed right up the field, and after he takes the hit, he drives the pile forward.
A gain of 9 yards on the carry for the Rocket. So it's 2nd and 1, Toronto, from their own 34-yard line. They lead BC 21-7. 7:48 to play. Second quarter. Dunnigan has time and had 2 receivers open, but was unable to find J.P. Esquerdo or Masadi. Flag is down.
Toronto was showing the option formation, the wishbone, but they came out and ran a flood pass.
Forward pass interference. BC number 8. First down.
Ken Petway called for the interference.
Petway was probably trying to cover the first receiver coming out, and coming out of the backfield. That's why he got boggled up in there.
First and 10 Argos from their own 40. Donegan completes to Boyd. Boyd out of bounds at the 50-yard line of the BC Lions.
There's probably nobody happier than Boyd because he had been the forgotten man in this offense, and Matt has found him several times already tonight. Nice pickup by Esquerdo, helping on the blocking. Good throw by Dunnigan, a nice completion by Jeff Boyd.
20 more yards for the veteran receiver who began his career with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. First and 10 Toronto from the BC 50. Donegan, quick pass to the Rocket. Rocket, we have ignition.
Okay, here's a play that shouldn't go anywhere. I mean, you've already got 3 receivers out there, and you're going to throw the football. That's where all of the attention is. But Rocket makes people miss. He's got some good blocking picked up. But look, if Penway doesn't miss, the play is an east-west play. It's for about 3 yards. But Rocket made it work.
A few more than 3 yards for the Rocket. The ball is spotted at the 26-yard line where the Argos are now first and 10. Donegan pumps once. He's going to keep it himself. And Donegan is close to the first down. Had to get to the 16-yard line. Bruce Holmes and O.J. Bergantz combining to make the stop for BC.
Well, when you're down in this part of the field, you're going to get blitzing. You're going to get a lot of man-to-man coverage, and that cleans out all of those defenders. So the quarterbacks like to run when they get into this position. When they get into the scoring area inside that 30, they like to run. So watch for Matt. He may take off.
Second and 1 Argos. The ball at the 17-yard line. Donegan keeps himself, finds the hole, and gets down just shy of the 10-yard line.
He showed some determination, took that drop step, came back and drove over Bob Skemp. .38 remaining to play. Second quarter.
Argos leading 21-7 and knocking at the door. First and 10 Toronto. The ball at about the 10.5-yard line. Donegan. Pass to J.P. Esquerdo, and how he pulled that one in, I'll never know.
Well, that looked like a yo-yo. He looked like he had a yo-yo and just pulled a string on it to bring it back home. Matt's expecting him to continue out to the outside. I mean, that's an incredible catch. As Matt delivers the ball, J.P. just reached out, pulled it back in, pulled the yo-yo back in.
It was not one of Donegan's better passes, but it was certainly one of J.P. Esquerdo's best catches. A one-arm catch. Second and 7 from the 7. Donegan just simply rolls out of bounds.
Well, they double covered on Darrell Smith. And that's what they have to do to make sure that the big guy doesn't get the ball down there. Darrell K. Smith was going to try to run that post corner pattern. Unfortunately for Dunnigan, because he was hung out there, didn't have anybody to throw to. And Darrell K., I know is coming back saying, hey, look weak side next time. Look weak side. There's no free safety.
And that brings on the Toronto Argonauts place kicker, Lance Chomick, 21 of 24 on the season, 94 points in total.
Let's give credit to Lance Chomick. He's had a bad foot as well. He said he had a big problem with all of the bones in the upper part of his foot. So not only John Volpe had a bad foot, so did Lance Chomick.
You'd never know it by his stats. Best in the league. It's a chip shot for Chomick, and he is good. So the Toronto Argonauts up their total to 24 points. They have a 24-7 lead over the Lions with 4:16 remaining to play in the second quarter at the Skydome.
You know, when the Postal also strike on. Here's an award that could live up to its name. The Chintzy Bowling Trophy, the CBC shirt from the 1976 Olympics, all of it worth about $32, GST included. Comprise our Return to Sender award. We'll give it to the speedster who collects the most yardage on kickoff and punt returns. And Willis Jaycox of Saskatchewan still has a big lead over Henry Gizmo Williams of the Eskimos. I know the Giz is a big fan of CBC outerwear. He has one of my old melon jackets, and wouldn't the Olympic shirt complete the ensemble nicely, Steve?
And I remember the afternoon that I gave Gizmo the jacket. He was the happiest player in the locker room. They just won the Grey Cup, but getting the jacket was so important to the Gizmo. This is Etheridge. Etheridge brought down short of the 45-yard line. A 49-yard kick and an 18-yard return. Paul Massotti downfield to make the stop for the Argos. 24-7, Argos lead, but lots of time remaining when you consider the past history of these two teams. They've been involved in some real shootouts over the years.
And they have yet to solve the Doug Flutie problem, because by coming upfield, they're opening up the running lanes, and they're giving Flutie great protection on just drop-back passing.
First and 10 BC from their own 44. Flutie has time. Now he's under pressure. Just dumps it off to Volpe, and Volpe goes nowhere. That'll be a loss of about 6 or 7 yards for the Lions.
Well, Rodney Harding is really pumped up for this football game, and he's been out with, some nicks and bumps, but watch him come through. He's fighting through 2 blockers to get the pressure, but Flutie had a lot of time. Coverage downfield was good.
Coverage downfield was excellent. Any time that Flutie gets that kind of time to put the ball up, you know that there are no receivers open. 2nd and 17 facing BC from their own 37. Flutie looking for Christensen, and it's incomplete. Don Wilson covering on the play, and Wilson did his job. When we come back, the BC Lions will be punting the football.
This was day 4 of the World Track and Field Championships in Tokyo. It's been a spectacular meet so far. Carl Lewis's world record left us to wonder where it could go from there, but that was just the beginning, and primetime coverage of this day at the World Championships made way for our football telecast. So we want to remind you that coming up in most parts of the country later tonight will be full coverage of the day's events in Tokyo. Check your local listings. Steve?
Thank you, Scott, and we've still got our fingers crossed for Canada's Mark Smith and the decathlon still to come at the World Athletic Championships. Louis Prisaglia getting set to punt for the BC Lions. 3rd and 17 situation. The Rocket, the lone punt returner, standing at his own 30-yard line. The Rocket at the 35. At the 40, and tripped up just shy of the 50-yard line by Mike Marasco, but a flag goes down inside the 40. A 37-yard punt from Prisaglia and a 13-yard return for the Rocket.
Probably a clip. Van Bellingham tried to throw his arms up in the air to avoid that.
Illegal block. Toronto number 2. First down.
The call from Jake Ireland. Flutie looking for Christensen, and Christensen unable to come up with a pass and keep the drive alive for the BC Lions. And that set up the punting situation, which brings us back to the Argos being 1st and 10 from their own 26-yard line. They lead 24-7. We've got 2:45 until halftime here at Sky Dome in Toronto. Darrell K. Smith and Jeff Boyd split wide to the right. They give to Smelly, and Smelly finds a hole, picks up 8.5, 9 yards, runs into Andrew Thomas, who brings him down.
You would think that Smelly, you have a little drop-off when you get Smelly in there because Kelly was the starter. But I'll tell you, this Kevin Smelly is a solid running back. He probably gave a little bit away on the blocking, but when he gets the football, he's a good, solid running back, and he broke the seam right up off the nose tackle. The BC Lions have a little more flexibility now that Mike Clements isn't in the ball game. Without Clements in there, they've got a chance now to do what most of the time they would like to do, and that is to either change up man or zone coverage. I didn't feel they could do that with Clements in there. Coach Obilovich didn't like the idea of having a linebacker on Clements. He didn't think that was a good match.
2nd and 1 for the Argos. That delay there caused by illegal substitution. Holmes went back into the game, and he wasn't supposed to go into the game. He had to stay out 3 plays.
Well, the new rule is that when you're injured, you know, it's got to be a 3-play thing, and that was to eliminate people from faking an injury.
Not a bad night for Matt Dunnigan. 8 of 9, 155 yards and 2 touchdowns.
He wouldn't be happy with that one that wasn't caught.
Well, he's a perfectionist. He'd like to see it 9 and 9. 1st and 10, Toronto from their own 38. The Rocket. And he crosses the 52-yard line before he's stopped.
What Rocket does is uses his blockers really well. He got some nice lead blocking in there by Groenwagen and Mills. So he just broke it back to the outside. Brewster was the... I'm getting my big, tall guys mixed up. Brewster was the guy that did the good job on the lead block.
They would not appreciate that. Jim Mills told us yesterday, he said, don't forget the O-line. Dunnigan with the option. And he tried to find J.P. Izquierdo with the pitch. And that time he apologized to J.P. Izquierdo and said, that time it was my fault.
Well, he wanted to pitch it because he knew that he was being taken. And as he comes out on the option, after the fake to Smelly, he comes out. Like I say, he's got to make sure the defender takes him. Looks like JP's open, but wasn't aware of the ball being pitched. This is tough. It gives the defense a tough situation because you've got to defend the option and the pass. It's a lateral situation. It's a vertical situation.
111 yards on the ground. Remember, Adam Rita said he wanted over 100. He's got it. Dunnigan puts it up. And it's picked off by Petway. Petway intercepted that ball inside the 15-yard line.
Well, I knew Matt was going to want to go for that one, and we knew he was going to go for the home run. But the free safety came over. Petway came over. There's a vice around the football. It's who wants to go for it. Unfortunately, JP's got his nose in the dirt. There's 3 BC defenders there. They wouldn't have done that if Clements was in the ball game because they wouldn't have had the luxury of dropping off that deep. They would have had to keep the free safety eyeing Clements on any man coverage.
First turnover in the half for the Toronto Argonauts, and it gives BC the ball at their own 14-yard line. Less than a minute to play. 2nd quarter here at Skydome in Toronto. The Argos lead 24-7. Flutie fires that off his offensive lineman. They were trying to set up some sort of screen to the left side, but it did not work.
Oh, my. My, oh, my.
Holding. BC number 55. Decline. 2nd down.
You don't want to know what Coach Obilovich is thinking right now. When you get your center called for holding on a screen pass, he is not happy. That was a screen. On a screen pass, you let the defender come through. You don't get called for holding.
Ian Sinclair, the guilty party for the BC Lions.
Actually, Volpe wasn't in bad position.
Second and 10 for the Lions from their own 14.
52 seconds showing on the scoreboard clock. Flutie with space. Elects to throw at the last minute, intending for Volpe. But Reggie Pleasant was there. And had he been able to pick that one off, he was gone because there was nobody between him and the goal line.
Well, you can see Flutie's motioning over to Volpe. He said, look, I wanted you to come back to the inside. And, of course, Volpe was sort of out there mesmerized. That's the problem. Flutie hadn't scrambled much this half. And then he suddenly scrambled, and nobody's ready for it. They're not used to it. But I think he'll get back to that scrambling game if Louis can get the snap from center. Those things have been all over the clock, as they say. He's had them at 2 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Louis not happy about his snaps from center.
BC Lions certainly most effective on offense when Flutie is scrambling. Busaglia with the punt. Rocket lets it bounce. Picks it up inside the 50. Almost gets back to the midfield stripe. 32 seconds to play till halftime. Mark Jones downfield for the BC Lions to make the stop. A 47-yard punt from Louis Busaglia and a 6-yard return from the Rocket.
It's a good thing Louis Busaglia has good hands because that ball was at 12 o'clock. Way up high, maybe past 12 o'clock. Higher than what Louis would like because he had to jump for it, but he still got the ball off. And I'm surprised Toronto didn't rush the punter on that play.
Louis has good hands. He's a former quarterback at SFU. Donegan puts it up. And he was looking downfield for Andrew Murray, and Murray was interfered with by Ken Petway at the 25-yard line.
Maybe.
Forward pass interference. BC number 8. First down.
The reason I said maybe is Andrew Murray's a big, strong guy, too. Watch how they get tangled up. Sometimes they call that against the offense.
Well, that advances the ball 26 yards. It's 1st and 10 Argos from the Lions' 30-yard line. Donegan under pressure, flips it out. It's a loose ball. And I believe the BC Lions have recovered. Yes, they have. Donegan makes a mistake. Tried to flip it out when he was under pressure. He tried to get it to Smelly. And Stuart Hill is there for the BC Lions to scoop it up.
Well, Matt has been going for the home run here about the last 3 times, and I think he's looking deep on a throwback. He set. There was nobody home. Bergance came in, and then Stu Hill cleaned it up. Looked like he wanted Smelly to get the pitch out. He saw him right in front of him, but Smelly couldn't hang on. It went over his shoulder.
On that particular occasion, Matt Donegan would have been best advised to hang on to the ball. 1st and 10 BC. Flutie over the middle, complete to Christensen. Christensen across the 45-46-yard line. 8 seconds remaining. Don Moen and Harold Holm there to make the stop for the Argos.
Well, Doug Flutie is a Hail Mary specialist, and he's going to need one right here.
This will be one of those everybody go deep plays. And that's exactly what they're doing. Flutie needs a little bit of time. Floats it out. It's complete. Matt Clark. And there goes the gun to end the first half of play here at the Skydome in Toronto. The Argonauts make their way to the dressing room, leading the Lions 24-7.
Toronto 24, BC 7, 31 points in the first half of this game, and it's in keeping with what's gone on in this CFL season. Teams scoring sometimes as much as 40 points, and not even that guarantees victory. Is this league all of a sudden too wide open? This is typical of what's been going on CFL fields. Touchdowns left and right. It seems when the scoring starts, there's just no stopping it. The league's best defense is owned by Winnipeg, and they've been giving up almost 4 converted touchdowns a game. Through to Saskatchewan, which has been struggling, surrendering a league-high 43 points per game. On average, average, CFL teams are giving up 32 points. Offenses are talented, no question about it. Players like Rocket Ismail can and often do break a game wide open. But if this keeps up by season's end, 4,600 points will have been scored the league over. That's almost 1,000 more than 4 years ago and a full touchdown more per game. The trend is obvious. Scoring's been increasing every year. Our defense is declining, or our offenses just that much better. Argonauts' Don Moen has recognized the league over as one of the CFL's most consistent defenders, and now in the face of overwhelming evidence, he'll state the case for the defense. Is it in decline?
I really don't think so. I think what's happened is the offenses have really improved, and I think especially at the quarterback position. You used to have a lot more immobile quarterbacks in the league, whereas now you've got the Fluties, Tracy Hams, and the Matt Dunnigans, which put an awful lot of pressure on defenses and make it really tough.
Is it that defenses then have not been able to keep pace with the talent of the offense, those great quarterbacks and receivers and special team players?
Definitely not. No,
I thought that's what you just said.
It's just a matter of playing real disciplined defense. I think that we sort of shot ourselves in the foot when we played out in BC Place a few weeks ago, and we're trying to eliminate those mistakes, and I think it's shown in the first half.
It's a big field, and when you get talented players like Doug Flutie, Pinball Clemens, Gizmo Williams, it makes it long nights on occasion for defenses.
It can be, but like I say, we have a lot of talented defensive players, I think, and it's a matter of eliminating your mistakes and playing good, solid defense, and then you can be successful against those types of offenses.
What will it take, Don, to go back to defensive ball games?
I think it's just what I said. It's a matter of eliminating mistakes. It's not trying to kill quarterbacks like a Doug Flutie. You have to contain them, make him cut it back up inside where you've got a lot of help. He's not, the immobile quarterbacks of the past are gone, so you have to be very, very, very disciplined.
Strikes me that in the past couple of seasons we've had discussions like this prior to Labor Day, and after Labor Day the scores seem to settle down a bit. Why so?
I think it's defenses adjusting to what the offenses are doing. You've got great scrambling quarterbacks, and if you let them do their thing, you can have long nights, as we found out against Tracy Ham last week. And we're playing much more discipline this week, and we've given up 7 points in the first half.
Quick comment in the first half. Doug Flutie made you chase him a few times.
Yeah, we had to chase him a couple of times, but we never let him get outside of us, and that's the key. If he gets outside, then a lot of bad things can happen to us as a defensive football team.
All right, Don, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Stay with us, everybody. When Live at the Half returns, we'll be joined live by CFL Commissioner Donald Crump, and he'll share with us the latest developments on the Ottawa Rough Riders. Across the street from Skydome in Toronto, the exhibition is still in session, and here at Skydome, it's the Argonauts by 14 at the half. Well, for a month now, the CFL has been running the Ottawa Rough Riders. Commissioner Donald Crump would like nothing better than to surrender his job as president of the Rough Riders. Your mandate when you took over the team was to run it and sell it. The running part of it's gone fine. What about the selling part of it?
Well, Scott, the selling part, I think, is coming fine, too. We've been at it for 4 weeks, and it really takes a little longer than that, but we have 5 different groups that are interested in the club, and I think soon we're expecting some action on it.
The group headed by Jim Manis and Denny Podfan indicated initially they were very serious, then all of a sudden dropped out of the bidding, leaving the impression the asking price for the team was too high. Is that the case?
Well, I don't think I've ever asked anybody for anything yet. Somebody has to examine the records and see what the operation is and then make a bid, and then we'll see if it's too high.
I know that you don't want me to ask you about the asking price, but let me try it this way. If I had, say, $3 million, could I get the Rough Riders?
Well, I'd talk to your lawyer.
The group headed by Skip Eamon and Larry Fairholm apparently examined the books today. Anything to report on that?
No, not yet. They haven't got back yet. I'll probably talk to them tomorrow and find out what their thoughts are. And they're a serious group, and I think they'll want to proceed as soon as they can if they have an interest.
How soon could you wrap this up? Let me ask you this. We'll be in Ottawa to cover the game between the Rough Riders and Ticats on Thursday. Will you still be president of the Rough Riders at that time?
I think probably will on Thursday. I hope I'm not for the next game.
What's the worst-case scenario? Supposing you had to run the Riders for the rest of the season. Is that feasible for the league?
Well, it's not an exciting prospect, I don't think. We want somebody that's going to have a future in it and make a commitment to the league. So I don't really look forward to going too much longer in this, and we want somebody before the end of this season.
And while we've got you here, a comment on expansion is in order. You've had a lot to say about it the last couple of days. You envision a separate American division.
Well, I think that at this time, if there was expansion talk, it's important to maybe look at all aspects of how you can expand.
Did you get to Detroit, Commissioner, and talk to the group there that's interested in acquiring a CFL franchise?
No, I've talked to Arthur Blackwell and Mr. Gleberman this week, and they understand the problem I have with the groups in Ottawa, and I'm putting it off probably till next week before I can find the time to get down there.
All right, and back here in Canada, to conclude the discussion, what's the state of the Calgary Stampeders? When we were there late last week, they were perilously close to completing a purchase. Larry Rickman, the Calgary businessman, was on the verge of buying the team. Can you update that for us?
Well, I think that the discussions are ongoing. I think there are some alternatives for them, and I think that they are proceeding. So I don't think there's a serious problem in Calgary at the moment, and I think they're looking forward to negotiating a settlement pretty soon.
Well, I guess the fact that some people who have money are interested in buying CFL franchises is good news.
Well, I think it is, and maybe it is a good investment.
Okay, Commissioner Crump, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
And here at Skydome, lots of big plays to choose from in the first half, but Steve and Joe have managed to identify one as the play of the half. Steve?
Scott, if you've got $3 million, I'd like a loan. At one point in the half, it looked rather shaky for the Toronto Argonauts early in the game when Mike Pinball Clemens went down with an injury. That brought on J.P. Izquierdo, and the Argos went to work from there.
Well, what do you do when you go in and replace an all-star? You play like an all-star. So J.P. went right down the seam, caught the football, and put them on the scoreboard. So you got to be really happy with J.P. Izquierdo as a replacement for Clemens.
You talk about pressure on a young man. He came through. This is the play of the half.
J.P. Certainly has had some pressure, but he's played special teams all year, and he's an open field kind of guy. Dunnigan drops back, throws it quick, over the shoulder catches are difficult, but J.P. pulled it in, bobbled it just a little bit, pulled it in, showed everybody, and then did a between-the-legs spike, and 7 points on the board for the Argos.
Don Moen said it at the half with Scott, that the Toronto Argonauts defense are playing disciplined defense. They have not allowed Doug Flutie to scramble, and I think that has made a big difference.
They don't allow Doug Flutie to scramble, and what they've done is they've opened up some running lanes, so if BC has the patience they did on that drive that they scored, they went down the field, picked it apart, and Flutie had to drop back because they're not going to let him get outside either way. They got a chance. If they don't have the patience, try to go for the home runs, then they're going to be in some trouble.
When you take away the scrambling ability of a Doug Flutie, you have taken a big weapon out of the BC Lions arsenal. It is 24-7 as we get set to begin the third quarter here at the Skydome in Toronto.
There's been reason to celebrate in Ottawa since Joe Farraghelli took over. The Riders have won 3 in a row, and Reggie Barnes has become the leader of an effective Ottawa offense. The Hamilton Tiger Cats are streaking, but in the opposite direction. This despite talent on special teams and in the offensive backfield. Hamilton at Ottawa, Thursday night on the CFL on CBC. An addendum to Live at the Half, where we like to think we're on top of breaking news, and we are tonight because the breaking news of the first half, an injury to the CFL's most valuable player, Mike Pinball Clemens. What's your status, sir?
Praise God, it's not too bad. I won't be able to play the rest of tonight. They're holding me out. They said if it's a breakup, maybe. I got a strain, and it's a 7 to 10 day injury. It usually gets worse before it gets better, but it's not something that lasts too long.
All right, Mike, we've got a replay of how you suffered the injury to your left knee in the first half of this game.
Right as I was hit there, my leg swung up in the air, and it came down on my foot. It really wasn't my knee, but it wrenched my foot because it was in an awkward position, and that's what happened. Just something freak, and the guys are playing well, though.
Okay, Mike, I know you're in doubt for next Tuesday's game, or I should say Labor Day's game against the Ticats in Hamilton, but we hope to see you back soon.
Thank you very much.
Steve?
Thank you, Scott. The BC Lions kicking off to the Toronto Argonauts to get this second half of play underway. It was a 60-yard kick and a 25-yard return from Darrell K. Smith.
Well, the Argos have come on top on net yards, and you look at the situation, passing yardage, rushing yardage, they've done a good job. So 100 yards more than BC, and the time of possession, not all that much different.
And where it counts the most on the scoreboard, the Argos lead 24-7, and they have the ball 1st and 10 from their own 40. The Rocket fumble, and it's recovered by the BC Lions. Mayo is there to scoop it up. You talk about being in the right place at the right time for Mayo.
Well, he got a hit in there by Holmes. Knocked the ball right out. And there's Mayo, the opportunistic defensive lineman. It happened to be where the ball bounced. Watch Holmes come right in, put his head in the ball. That's the way linebackers are taught. And to get that extension of his legs were coiled, then he uncoiled and popped into the ball. Boom, the ball bops out. BC Lions are back in it.
And Mayo scooped up the loose ball to give BC possession. 1st and 10 from the Argos 32. Flutie. Passing complete to Christensen. Christensen ridden out of bounds just inside the 20-yard line by Brian Smith.
That's what we talked about. All he needs is a little bit of patience, and he's got good pass protection. The play selection on both sides isn't really very surprising. Both of them said that they wanted to run the ball. Both of them are going to come back out with play pass and do a little bit of sprinting out.
BC doing what they've done well all year, and that is pass the ball. The Argos, as you mentioned, wanted to run it more, and they have done exactly that. 1st and 10, BC. They pitch to Volpe. Volpe breaks one tackle, gets down inside the 15-yard line.
Oh, this guy is just a treat to watch. Look at him. He looks like a lineman. Jersey all ripped. That's the kind of guy linemen like to block for, because they know he's going to block for himself. Watch him block for himself. Hey, Warren can't tackle me. He goes right through Warren, comes up, it takes 2 more people. Ford has to come over with the help from Campbell to bring him down. So Volpe's the kind of guy the linemen like to push people back for. When you know you got a tough guy down there at your backfield position, the linemen seem to give a little bit more.
Jamie Terrace, the former BC Lion running back, turned lineman, injured on the play.
One thing about Jamie Terrace that's unlike most offensive linemen, he's caught 21 passes. He's had 12 runs. I mean, he's had the football in his hand. Ask me how many touchdowns he's had.
How many touchdowns has he had?
0. Remember, I drafted him.
Saris was doing his job for the BC Lions when he was injured, trying to protect Flutie.
You won't find a stronger guy than Jamie Terrace. He's got muscles on muscles.
Once again, the BC Lions going to their slots more than the wideouts or the backs.
Well, this Christensen guy is such an easy target for Flutie. Flutie, if he has to keep doing drop-back passing, he's going to find Christensen in those seams on zone coverage all the time.
So it's a 2nd and 4 situation for Doug Flutie and the BC Lions. They've spotted the ball just over the 14-yard line of the Toronto Argonauts. BC trail 24-7 early 3rd quarter. Little action before the snap of the ball, complete to Christensen. He's got it down at the 10-yard line, and that's where the BC Lions had to be, just inside the 10, almost to the 9 for the 1st down. Illegal motion to call against the BC Lions.
They're calling that so much differently this year. They're calling the quarterbacks for drawing the defense offside. I don't know if I agree with that.
Procedure, BC number 88, still 2nd down.
Well, I agree with that. He called Ray Alexander for being illegal procedure, but many times they'll call the quarterback for barking the signals, which is what Flutie did on that play. Unfortunately, Alexander listened to the bark.
Flutie to his right, and he was looking for Matt Clark. Incomplete. Again, he was going to one of his 2 slots. That time the right side to Matt Clark.
But he got outside of Brian Warren. He did get outside on that. Got some help from Volpe. He just didn't hook up on the pass. It was man coverage. He should have had a good shot to put it in there.
So that brings on Louis Crisaglia, the all-time points leader in professional football. Came into this game at 2,403. Will attempt the field goal from the 27-yard line. And it's good for Louis Pasaglia and the BC Lions. So they pick up 3 points and now trail by 14, 24-10, 12-29 in the quarter. Never underestimate the value of a good place kicker in the CFL. Louis Pasaglia moving into a tie with Lance Chomick of the Argos. 22 field goals on the year. Both Chomick and Pasaglia enjoying the season. Great season.
Every good place kicker, they have to have a good holder.
And on that last play, Doug Flutie did a tremendous job in taking a high snap, putting the ball down, and spinning the ball. Watch it here.
Flutie has to catch the ball way up over his face, go back down, and spin the laces so that Louis gets a good chunk on the ball. That's a good athlete getting that ball down. Good job by Doug Flutie. The holder, the snapper, and the kicker, all three have to work in conjunction with each other.
And that made it 24-10. Lots of football remaining. Short kick. They kick away from the Rocket. Andrew Murray. Loose ball, but nobody got to it before it went out of play, so the Toronto Argonauts will retain possession and have pretty good field position on that short kick from the BC Lions. A 36-yard kick and a 9-yard return. We should have known that something was up because Caravetta normally kicks off for the BC Lions. That time it was Louis.
Well, this is interesting by the Argos, but that's Matt Dunnigan. When he's out there, the wide receivers are going to catch a lot of balls, and Darrell K. Smith probably doesn't like that.
First and 10 Argos from their own 49. They get to Smelly. And Smelly powers his way for about 7 or 8 yards. Brigance and Thomas there to make the tackle for the BC Lions.
Well, what Adam Rita's thinking is that he's got to get some help from that offensive line. He said nearly every player on that front line of his has a pulled muscle, a pulled groin, a twisted ankle. But he and Beckstead and Skemp and Prusner and Ferroni and Schultz, they're doing a good job to let the running backs find a hole. They're all staying on their people.
Need just over a yard for the first down to keep the drive alive, and it will be close, but I think Dunnigan has it with the quarterback sneak going to the left side for the necessary yardage.
He tried to change up, and he almost didn't make it. Normally, he likes to go over the right side, and what he did was he tried to go back over the left side and almost got stuffed on it. Usually, you like one point where everybody wedges, and that's usually on the right side. You get a little better drive, but Matt's been having a good night throwing the football, and you know, he's only run a couple times, but when he has done it, he's been effective.
First and 10 Toronto. The pitch to the Rocket. And again, the Rocket does a great job, outstanding job in picking up the necessary yardage for the first down.
A valuable member of your football team, do what the Rocket does. Wherever they put him, he gives 110% effort. They put him in the backfield. Watch the way he keeps his legs driving. He'll spin, he'll turn, he'll drive through, but his shoulders are always pointed towards the goal line. Spin around, keep digging towards the goal line. There's not a lot of room, but the Rocket cuts back, breaks 2 tackles.
Now watch when the Rocket is forced out of bounds right there. Unnecessary roughness, the call against the BC Lions. So it's first and 10 Argos from the 22-yard line of BC. Dunnigan with the fake and then the pitch to Darrell K. Smith. Smith down at the 11-yard line. Andrew Thomas and O.J. Brigance on the tackle for BC.
Darrell K. Smith is the recipient. The fake comes in here. There's a lead blocker here, and Matt comes out and pitches the ball to Darrell K. Smith, who makes a nice gain on the play. Once again, Dunnigan makes sure that the defender takes him before he pitches the ball, and he gets good blocking by Andrew Murray and the Ismail downfield.
Back to the live action, first and 10 from the 11. The Rocket, the ball carrier.
And he gets down to about the 7-yard line.
We're not looking at an extremely large back. You know, the Rocket is listed at about 175 pounds when he's got a pocket full of change. So this guy knows where the goal line is. That's a very important quality for a back, to always be going north and south.
Like you say, when he has the ball and he makes that turn up to the line, the shoulders are square. Good running backs do that. It is 2nd and 6 for Toronto. From the line, 7. Donegan puts it up. Intended.
Bruce Holmes saved that touchdown pass. Matt he had the slant in pattern, but Bruce Holmes at the last minute, the wide receiver was coming across, and Jeff Boyd couldn't do it because Bruce Holmes tipped the ball out of the way. That looks like a Grey Cup a couple of years ago. I hate to think about that.
Brings back a nightmare or two, doesn't it?
Oh, the 1988 Grey Cup with a tip and a bounce, and it was about on the 7-yard line, too. And Matt Dunnigan doesn't like to think about it either.
So this brings on another chip shot for Lance Chomick. It'll come from the 14-yard line.
That was part of Matt's frustration. 88 Grey Cup.
And it's good. So the Toronto Argonauts increase their lead. It is now 27-10. 8:34 remaining in the third quarter.
The photographer with the most vested of interest on the sidelines at Skydome tonight is Richard Flutie from Boston. He's got a boy playing in this game. His name is Doug. He's the quarterback for the BC Lions. Tell me, Richard, what kind of recognition is Doug getting in Boston for the way he's playing up here in Canada?
Well, the coverage has been very good. They still like Doug in New England, and in fact, the Patriot fans, some of them anyway, would like to have him back. Of course, he's happy here.
Is this as well as your son has ever played as a professional?
Well, if you measure it by statistics, yes, because he's had an opportunity to play.
Well, you should be, and I know you are. Very proud of your son.
Thank you.
Steve?
Thank you, Scott. And Richard is accompanied by his wife tonight, Joan. And Joan asked us to say hi to Doug's aunt, Diane Harney, watching this game in Albuquerque, New Mexico tonight. Lorenzo Graham on the return, gets up across the 35-yard line. J.P. Izquierdo downfield to make the stop. A 64-yard kick and a 25-yard return.
Doug Flutie has just about everything named after him except a candy bar, and that may be coming, but he's from Natick, with a long A, Natick, Massachusetts, and they actually have a street named after him. You know what it's called? Flutie Pass.
No doubt named after the miracle pass that he flew through in the bowl game down in Miami a number of years ago. Flutie about to throw another one, has time, fires over the middle, competes to Etheridge. Make that Ray Alexander with the reception for the BC Lions.
Well, it looks like Alexander pulled the ball in, got hit, and had to cough it back up. And they're ruling that it is not a reception. But he had the ball certainly within his grasp. Just couldn't bring it back down with both feet or even one foot. He had to cough the ball back up. Some Argos think they got a fumble recovery out of that.
2nd and 10 BC from the 36. Flutie to put it up again, looking for Hunter, and it's incomplete. Brian Smith, starting in place of Brazeley tonight, did a tremendous job defending on Hunter.
Brian Smith hung back. When that ball was thrown, the old theory is that you can break 1/3 the distance the ball is passed. And that's exactly what he did. He broke up and knocked that ball down just as it got to the receiver. Perfect timing. But there again, without Flutie scrambling, it seems the defensive secondary of the Argos have a chance to get set.
And that brings on Louis Pusaglia. One of his better punts. This will be taken by Smith at the 35. And he steps out of bounds at the 38-yard line, where the Toronto Argonauts will be 1st and 10. A 38-yard punt and a 2-yard return from Darrell K. Smith.
Well, there's no couch coaches there. These people are here live to see this ball game.
Argonauts have been averaging 38,147 per game so far this season. They were hoping for 40,000 plus tonight at this game.
He's got to watch his hairdo.
First and 10, Argos. The ball at the 38. They give to Smelly, and Smelly gets to the 40-yard line. Derek McCready there to make the stop, a player that you know quite well.
Well, Derek is the toughest player from Lachine, Quebec you'll ever find. Played at Ohio State. Pulled him in as the #1 draft choice a couple years ago, and he's doing a good job anchoring down the middle. If you can tie up the center and one of those guards, you're helping out your linebacker, and you saw what happened. Holmes had an opportunity to come up and help out as well.
And it's Kevin Smelly who is shaken up on the play.
Well, with 2 fullbacks out, now they're going to have to go with Nastasiak. And Nasty has played, of course, any part of the backfield, and he's also played slot back. So they have somebody that can go in there and do a good job of blocking. Probably won't give him the ball as much as they would Smelly or Kelly.
Earlier in this game, Pinball Clemens went down with a knee injury. We heard him on the sidelines talking to Scott Oakes, saying could be out for 7 to 10 days. Keith Kelly already out with an injury, and now Kevin Smelly is down on the artificial turf here at Skydome in Toronto, and they're working on his left leg. Now let's go down to Scott.
Steve, this Saturday on Sports Weekend, the world's finest athletes continue their quest for gold in Tokyo. Canada's team, of course, led by decathlete Michael Smith, and will also have qualifying for the Vancouver Indy. That'll get the Labor Day weekend off to a fast start on Sports Weekend.
And let's hope the weather clears up in BC in time for the Molson Indy, as Smelly makes his way off the field. That's good to see. When they walk off unattended, you know it's not a serious injury.
Well, he looks like he'll be back. He's even got a little bounce to his walk. He's clapping his hands. I think he's determined to get back in there, but he's got to wait out a few plays. 3.
So Paul Nastasiak is into the game wearing number 27. He's the lone back behind Matt Dunnigan. 2nd and 8, Argos from the 40. Complete pass to Nastasiak. He has the first down with about 3 yards to spare, and you can see Nastasiak buried under the timer's table on the sidelines. Now, if he's hurt, the Toronto Argonauts could really be in trouble in terms of running backs.
Paul Wetmore is one of his former teammates. I mean, they played special teams together side by side at BC. And, of course, Ken Watson came over and tried to help as well, but
Ken Watson, who rides him out of play and under the timer's table. Our production assistant, Fausto Belwamini, down there. Fortunately,
well,
Fausto wasn't hurt on the play, but he was up on his feet. He wasn't taking any chances.
well, I don't think Paul will be smiling now. I thought Fausto moved pretty well, didn't you?
He certainly did. .6:21 remaining in the third quarter. Argos lead 27 to 10.
You never get the sense that that's enough of a lead when Flutie's the quarterback of the other team.
1st and 10 for the Argos. The ball at the 52-yard line. I've got a feeling that Jake Ireland may have warned the BC Lions bench for talking. That sign there from Jake Ireland simply to reset the clock.
I think he wanted Obi to get back off the field. Obi's been out there a few times talking to him, and he didn't like some of the things that have been going on. So he probably told him to stay. There's a boundary line, that white line. He likes those coaches to stay back of that. Jake pays attention to that white line.
This is J.P. Escuerdo. And Escuerdo crosses the midfield stripe, gets into BC territory. O.J. Burgess is there to meet him for the Lions.
I'd hate to be the statistician for the Toronto Argos. I mean, it looks like they can put somebody at a position, and the guy does extremely well. I think got Darrell Smith returning kickoffs and punts. J.P. in the backfield.
That's not a bad conversion rate, 11 for 15. It is 2nd and 3 Toronto from the 51-yard line of the BC Lions. Pitch to the Rocket. A rocket has the first down with about a yard to spare. Mark Jones making the tackle for BC.
Good, nice ball handling. Good faking in there.
That's Kevin Smelly that's being attended to on the Toronto bench. The back of his left leg, obviously a cramp.
Just a little cramp. He probably should have had some potassium.
Bananas is what you're trying to say. 1st and 10 Toronto from the 45-yard line. And Dunnigan almost brought down and loses a second tackle, a third tackle. Dunnigan still going, buying lots of time, but nobody's open. Dunnigan finally forced to run it out of play, just shy of the 40-yard line.
Paul Wetmore got into it with Andrew Murray, and there again, they were teammates at one time as well. But you can see what happens to a secondary.
Dead ball, dead ball. Dead ball.
Head ball foul.
Here's the call from Jake Ireland.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Toronto number 86, 2nd down.
That's Andrew Murray, and he came back in on Paul Wetmore, and it looked like he was a little bit upset about the way Dunnigan was getting shots here. There's one shot at him. There's another shot at him. There's another shot. Make three guys miss. Now he comes all the way across the other side of the field, and he's looking for somebody to get open.
Meanwhile, back to the live action. Pass to Nastasiuk is complete. Nastasiuk is shy of the first down by a couple of yards. He had to get to the 35-yard line. He was stopped at about the 37.
Boy, I wouldn't want to be a fullback for Toronto. This is the third fullback that's been injured in this ballgame. You know what he's telling? Hey, I want out of here.
Andrew Thomas, who put the stop on Nastasiuk, also shaken up on the play.
It was a good call. The screen pass was there. They were getting a good rush upfield, and they had division between the rush men and the defensive pass coverage people.
Toronto Argonauts leading 27-10. We've got 3:40 to play in the third quarter.
Bombers and the Calgary Stampeders began proceedings at Winnipeg Stadium about a half an hour ago, and Robert Mims, the CFL's leading rusher, has the Bombers in front of Calgary. His first quarter touchdown converted made it 7-0 in the second half of this home-and-home series, Steve.
The Blue Bombers, of course, coming off a big win over the Stampeders at McMahon Stadium last week. The Stampeders' first loss of the year. Lance Chomik will attempt a 45-yard field goal. Matt Dunnigan, the holder. Certainly long enough, but it's wide, but not by much. And Tony Hunter concedes the single point. So the Toronto Argonauts up their total to 28-10 over the BC Lions, with 3:17 remaining to play in the third quarter here at Skydome in Toronto on a very hot and humid night. With the accent on humid. The humidex getting up to around 40 degrees Celsius at one point today here in Toronto, so it must be like an oven for the players down at field level.
Doug Flutie wants to get this thing going. He's going to have to start showing the defense that their good play is going to be productive. He's going to have to show the defense to keep that up. They'll get back in this ball game.
1st and 10 from the 38. Flutie to Ray Alexander. Alexander brought down at the 53-yard line.
Well, Ray Alexander at 6'4", that's a little bit of a mismatch with Reggie Pleasant, and if he can jump about 3 feet in the air, that makes him almost 10 feet tall, and Pleasant isn't that big.
1st and 10 BC from the 53. Again, Flutie has time, and again he has an open receiver. And that should be good for the first down. The pass to Matt Clark.
That was a nice play by Doug Flutie as he drops back. what Doug Flutie is doing. He's reading the zone coverage, and he puts the ball in there just like a dart. Good touch by Flutie. Put it right into the numbers. No chance for an interception.
And BC going with their hurry-up offense. 1st and 10 from the 46. And Matt Clark was open for a second there, but Flutie unable to get to him. Don Wilson defending on the fly and getting a big hand from this Sky Dome crowd.
Don Wilson made a play. That was a good play. He really broke back. And that's the frustration that you see on Coach Obilovich's face, because not a badly thrown ball, but they still come up 2nd and 10.
And the ball's still at the 46-yard line. Flutie has to scramble. Looking for a block. And he's brought down at the 35-yard line.
That's exactly what Doug Flutie has to do. He's got to show the defense. They've held Toronto. Hey, that's an explosive ball club, Toronto. When you hold them, guys, I'm going to go out there and I'll take this ball game into my control. Look at Flutie come out around Moan. He does a good job, and there he is for the first down.
1st and 10 for the Lions from the 35-yard line of the Toronto Argonauts. Flutie to Volpe. Volpe has the first down, and he gets down to the 20-yard line. Volpe thinks he could have gone a lot further, even though there were 3 Argonauts there to meet him.
Well, you know, he's going to knock somebody down. Flutie delivers the ball here, and he puts it in a position where Volpe can catch it and take off running. The lower that ball is, the better, because he can get that running start, and boom, he runs into Reggie Pleasant.
Gaines, Smith were all there to meet him.
It looks like somebody didn't like running into Flutie.
That's Brian Smith, the injured player down on the artificial turf.
Now, this is Brian's first game in the lineup. He's been on the practice roster.
Let's go down to Scott.
You know, Steve, Mike Clemens makes a lot of statements on the football field and now on the Argo bench. Half in street clothes, half in sweats. He's making a fashion statement, I'd say. He's got the ever so suave suit jacket on, his shorts, and his knee wrapped in ice. And he was pretty smart about it. He wore his shorts underneath his suit pants so that he knew if he'd had to get his knee wrapped, he'd be able to do it with a degree of decency. But you know what he said to me? He said, Scott, a year from now, everybody's going to be dressing like this.
Scott, what you might tell him is I bought one of those watches about a month ago on the street. It doesn't work anymore.
I can't believe that. Are you going to tell us what street you brought it on so we can avoid it? Brian Smith still being attended to by the Argonauts training staff. They have been a busy staff tonight. Smith starting the game in place of the injured Carl Brazeley, who is out with a hamstring. And now Smith himself is down.
Well, Smith played for the Oklahoma City Twisters, and I'll bet you he never faced a back like John Volpe.
That's a semi-pro league, and he played there for the past couple of years before getting the call from the Toronto Argonauts. 28-10. Favor the Argos over the BC Lions. 58 seconds remaining to play in the third quarter.
Well, 58 seconds remaining to play. I don't think the lead would still be safe, because Flutie last week scored about 18 points with a minute to go.
Again, Smith making his way off the field under his own steam, so you have to believe when they do that there's a good chance they'll be back into the game. 1st and 10 for the Lions from the Argos 20-yard line. Volpe running back into traffic that time. Gets about 3 or 4 yards. Campbell and Gaines there to make the tackle for Toronto.
You can see Flutie looking at the contain that time. He came around and faked the bootleg. What he was looking for is Brian Warren, and Brian Warren was in on the tackle, so that may be a play to look for later. A fake to Volpe and Flutie out on the bootleg.
They give Volpe 3 yards, make that 2.5 yards on the carry. So it'll be about 2nd and 8 from the 18-yard line. Flutie indicating where he wants his receivers. As time fires over the middle, and it's incomplete. He was looking for Ray Alexander. Reggie Pleasant covering on the fly. And again, the Argonauts defense rises to the occasion against Doug Flutie and the Lions.
Alexander he's a receiver that likes to catch those look-ins because he'll shield with his body, and Obilovich is just shaking his head because he knows Reggie Pleasant. He used to coach Reggie Pleasant, and he said, we're going to go after him tonight, but hey, coach, you might go after him, but you're not always going to get him. That's a good play by Reggie Pleasant.
And once again, Louis Brusaglia will try the field goal from the 24-yard line, and it's good. So the BC Lions continue to chip away at the Argos lead. It is now 28-13, favor the Toronto Argonauts as we get set to start the final quarter. Welcome back to Skydome in Toronto, where the Argos lead the BC Lions 28-13 as we get set to start the fourth quarter. Julio Caravetta will kick things off for BC. Darrell K. Smith at the 20. Hands off to the Rocket. The Rocket has some room. Tremendous exhibition of running by the Rocket, who should have been stopped at least 3 or 4 times by the on the downfield coverage. A 57-yard kick and a 25-yard return. Full marks to the Rocket. Let's take a look at the stats through 3 quarters of play.
Well, the Argos are staying ahead by mixing up their game. They're doing a little bit of passing, a little bit of rushing, and they're out in front. But the time of possession, not all that much different.
First and 10 for Toronto from their own 47-yard line. And Kevin Smelly, number 5, is back into the ball game at the fullback position for Toronto. And he gets the call, and he does his job. Picks up 6 or 7 yards for the Argonauts. Straight up the middle. Stuart Hill there to make the stop for BC.
Adam Rita's got to be happy with his offensive line. They've all been nicked and bruised a little bit, but he's got them moving back. They're controlling the front people. They're doing a good job up front.
Fairly close in the quarterback comparison, but again, where it counts the most, it's the Argos on top on the scoreboard, 28-13. Second and 2, Toronto. And again, Smelly gets the call and the first down.
This looks like college ball. I mean, this is the wishbone, and you saw Dunnigan doing a nice job of bringing the fakes out. And Smelly is really blowing up through there, but he's getting a good job by Beckstead. Good movement on the up front people.
Jake Ireland doesn't agree with my call at the first down. He's called for the change. It's going to be very close, and it's short by about the nose of the football. I'm sure that Adam Rita will elect to go for it, the way Smelly has been carrying the ball the last 2 times.
Well, you know, when you get into that situation, all you got to do is get a good snap from center and let offensive line knows what they need to do. So they like to wedge. Usually they wedge over the right guard, and then they just push people back, and that's where the ball is going.
1 for 1 tonight in third down gambles. And Dunnigan makes it 2 for 2. Elects to go left side.
Well, there's Dunnigan. He thinks he can get a touchdown every play. I mean, he tried to break it all the way outside, took a hard hit in there by Bergans. I think Obilovich liked that hit that Bergans put on him.
This telecast is protected by copyright and is intended strictly for the private use of our viewing audience. Any use, exhibition, distribution, reproduction, or retransmission in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited. Izquierdo. And he does a little tightrope run down the sidelines, gets inside the 40-yard line to about the 38.5. Bruce Holmes is there to run him out of play.
Bruce Holmes had to come over and make a big play because Matt Dunnigan once again came out, and watch him work the option. Well, he's already pitched it, but you can see Matt in the background get the ball to Izquierdo, and he tight ropes that thing down the sideline for a first down.
The Argos keep the drive alive. 1st and 10, and they spot the ball at the 38-yard line. Boyd wide to the right. The Rocket comes wide to the left. And again, they give it to Smelly up the middle. He gets down to the 35-yard line of the BC Lions.
Well, I think they feel like they can work on Holmes because he hasn't seen the wishbone in a while. But they certainly are running that series. Smelly had a brick wall that time.
2nd and 7 for Toronto from the 35.
Well, they're still in the wishbone, but I don't believe it on 2nd and long.
Donegan to Smith. And Smith does not have enough yardage for the first down. Ken Watson defending on the play and doing an excellent job in covering and bringing down Smith.
Both defenses have settled down, and here's Watson, 6'3" from Livingston University, and he comes up, makes a good solid tackle. I know what Smith was trying to do, make him miss, get the first down. It seems the Argos are best when they're attacking downfield. When they throw the lateral passes, they aren't able to shake anybody loose today.
And that brings on Lance Chomick to attempt a 42-yard field goal. 2 for 3 on the night. His longest of the year, 48. That certainly got the legs, and it's good. So a 42-yard field goal from Lance Chomick gives the Argos a 31-13 lead over the Lions. Welcome back to Skydome in Toronto, where the Toronto Argonauts continue to lead the BC Lions 31-13 in search of their 6th win of the season. Lots of time remaining for Doug Flutie to start working some of that magic and get the BC Lions offense in gear.
I think I know what the Lions need. They need 2 Fluties.
Big opening quarter by the Argos, and that made the difference. 21 points on the board, and from that point on, they've just been chipping away.
We've been going to the wishbone. Doug Flutie's brother Darren just got cut by the Phoenix Cardinals and may be available for the BC Lions. He's a wide receiver with good speed.
Huge kick from Hank Alesic. This is Etheridge. And Etheridge does well to get back out to the 20-yard line, but what a tremendous boot from Hank Alesic. 75 yards and a 20-yard return. Scott?
Steve, at Winnipeg Stadium, the Bombers have capitalized on a mistake by the Calgary Stampeders. They were punting from deep in their own territory. The snap was bad and fumbled, and Craig Harrison recovered for Winnipeg in the Calgary end zone. So that touchdown has put the Bombers up 15-1 on the Stampeders in the 2nd quarter.
Winnipeg in search of their 2nd straight win over the Stamps, and if the Stamps lose tonight, that be their 2nd loss in a row after winning 6 in a row. 1st and 10, BC from the 20. Flutie swings it out to Volpe. Volpe has the first down, and then some. Great second effort by Volpe. Carries him up to the 37-yard line.
I like that guy. I like what Volpe does. He never gives up. He'll take a shot. He'll keep digging. He'll keep driving. He'll spin, turn around. I like what that guy does, too. 15 out of 28, 190 yards. Not a banner day for him, but they're still in this ballgame.
From the 37, BC, 1st and 10. Flutie over the middle, looking for Christensen. Incomplete. And that may have been tipped by Doug Moen. Just got a hand on it enough that it knocked it out of the way of Christensen.
I'd still like to see Christensen put his hands up and try for it. I don't know what happened here. He doesn't really, well, I think I know what happened. He probably saw Chris Gaines coming over and maybe protected himself. But I'd like to see him reach up for it.
They'll do it again. 2nd and 10 from the 37. Flutie, this time complete to Matt Clark, and Clark has the first down by about a yard to spare. Brian Smith covering on the play.
Well, Flutie started in terrible field position, and you saw who he went to right away was Volpe to get him out of trouble. And Flutie knows where his guns are. And he's spreading the ball around a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see Alexander come back into this game and show something.
Coming into this game tonight, Doug Flutie leading all passers in the CFL with 2,829 yards, and that is up to date. Barrett with 2,314.
Well, we're not even halfway through the year, and that's a lot of yards.
If Flutie continues to pass at the rate in which he's done all season long, he will surpass the mark, the BC Lions record held by Matt Dunnigan of 4,000-plus yards. Again, Bruce Smith shaken up on the play. 1st and 10 for BC from the 50-yard line. Flutie looking for Christensen, and Christensen goes down, and I'm sure that will be interference called on Chris Barber against Christensen.
You always see this happen. Every time you get Brian Smith hurt, every time you get a young guy in there that has to take over at the halfback or corner position, that's where the quarterback goes. So he's going to go.
Pass interference. Toronto number 19. First down.
Thank you, Jake. But they go right after those young defensive backs when they get in the ball game. And that was probably a smart move. He saved a touchdown. Might as well interfere if you know he's wide open.
A 23-yard gain on the penalty. 1st and 10 Lions from the Argos 28. Flutie complete to Ray Alexander, and Alexander still on his feet. Tremendous job by Ray Alexander to get down inside the 10-yard line. He made the catch outside the 15. It looked like he was stopped there, but he got away from Reggie Pleasant and got it down inside the 10.
Well, Big Ray, what he's doing, it's almost like he knows Flutie's going to buy time, and he just comes back over, works to the outside. He knows it's going to be a throwback.
Back to the live action. Flutie to put it up again for Ray Alexander. And this time, Alexander unable to elude the tackle, the presence of Reggie Pleasant. And he's brought down at the 8-yard line.
Reggie Pleasant is certainly playing better than he had the previous game when he faced Alexander. But Flutie's working Alexander. He's coming to the strong side of the field and throwing the ball back across field, getting it to Alexander. No huddle. Flutie's telling him what to do from the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 8. Flutie in and out of the arms of Raymond Etheridge, and that is one that I'm sure Etheridge would like to have back. You couldn't have thrown that one any better.
Well, Flutie knew it was going to be a blitz. He put the ball in on a quick slant. It's a perfect throw. Unfortunately, it hit him in a bad spot.
Right on the numbers, right in the hands. The Lions have to gamble. They're going for it. 3rd down. Flutie with some time. Now forced to scramble. Look right, goes left. Still under pressure. Gets it away, but that would have been an offensive lineman that the ball would have gone to. So once again, the Toronto Argonauts defense does the job on Doug Flutie.
While we focus on the Argos and the BC Lions, they've completed day 4 of competition at the World Track and Field Championships in Tokyo. Primetime coverage of this day at the World Championships made way for our telecast. We want to remind you that coming up in most parts of the country later this evening will be full coverage of the day's events in Tokyo. Check local listings. Steve?
One of the things that the Toronto Argos said that they had to do was to keep Flutie contained from both sides. And this is exactly what happens as they come in on the pass rush. They actually aren't going after Flutie. They're containing him. They're coming wide, keeping him to the inside. It's a good job as he reverses his field with the offensive lineman, keeping him back to the inside. His own lineman gets in his way, and he has nothing to do but throw the ball away. Good contained from both sides of the field. That's what Toronto didn't do the last time they played against the Lions.
But in all fairness to Doug Flutie, I don't think he is getting the kind of performance from his receivers that he's been getting throughout this season. They're just not getting open.
Good point, Steve. They had a few touchdowns they could have caught.
1st and 10 Argos. Quick pass to the Rocket. And the Rocket is one-on-one with Norman Jefferson, and Jefferson wins that battle, not allowing the Rocket to make too many moves.
Jefferson's a veteran, and you know, you rely on a missed tackle on this kind of a play. Jefferson's not going to let him have it, even though the Rocket gave him a good, solid straight on it.
Yards over their average in rushing for the Toronto Argonauts tonight. They're 2nd and 7 from the 35. The pitch to J.P. Izquierdo. And J.P. Izquierdo had to get up to the 43-yard line. Ken Petway saw that Izquierdo wasn't going to that time.
Well, they're trying to do 2nd and 7. They got a lead. You got to think if they hadn't blocked that punt and had that other short kick that set up a touchdown, if those special teams hadn't put him in the lead, this might have been a better ball game, because the Argos are not aggressive, and without the pinball, they still got a lot of guns.
A rare appearance by Toronto punter Hank Yelesic. Haven't had to do too much of that tonight. Raymond Etheridge, the lone punt returner for the BC Lions, standing at his own 28. Good high punt from Yelesic. Etheridge steps out of bounds at the 28.5-yard line. A 42-yard punt, and nil on the return from the missile, Raymond Etheridge.
Well, the missile has been fizzling as of late on the returns. You know, he had that great return against the Lions in the overtime, but his average, about 26 yards on kickoff returns, is fairly mediocre when you take into account he had a big one against the Argos on that overtime.
The missile, Raymond Etheridge, claims to have beaten the Rocket in a 100-meter sprint in high school. 1st and 10 for the Lions from the 29. Flutie passing through the middle, complete. Matt Clark pulling that one in for BC at the 40-yard line.
Matt did a good job against Wilson. Wilson's usually right on him, but he came back towards the ball. That was what really helped the play. When Matt Clark came back to the quarterback, he was able to make that reception. That's what they need to do. They need to come back to the football, be more aggressive as receivers.
1st and 10 BC from the 40. Flutie complete to Ray Alexander at the midfield stripe. Chris Gaines there to make the stop for Toronto.
Well, you saw the stat. Flutie hasn't had a typical game. He hasn't had the yardage he usually has, but remember, you know, there's still 5.5 minutes, and Flutie could get a couple hundred yards quick.
1st and 10 from the 54. Again, Flutie over the middle. Again, complete to Jay Christensen. And he's down to the 45-yard line of the Argos. The attendance here tonight, 39,508. That's about 1,000 above what the Argos have been averaging all season long here at the Skydome. They were hoping for about 40,000, but they've got 39,508. Flutie passing 1st and 10. Looking for Tony Hunter. Incomplete. In and out of the arms of Tony Hunter. And Reggie Pleasant was covering on the play. In and out of his arms, too.
The defensive secondary of the Argos has done a good job of disrupting the receivers of BC. The secondary is all over those people, and I think they've done a good job tonight as opposed to the last time where they watched them catch the ball and then they came up and made tackles. They've been aggressive tonight, more aggressive than the BC receivers.
Ball's at the 43, 2nd and 10 BC. Over the middle, and it's complete. Ray Alexander down at the 30-yard line. That's good enough for the first down.
Ray Alexander does the bend in. He knows that Barry's going to be staying with him, but watch him slip his shoulders between Barry and the ball. That's the way to come back over. Good catch. Gives them the first down. Watch Volpe coming out of the backfield on a reception.
4:18 to play, 4th quarter. 1st and 10 from the 30. Flutie has some time, buys some more by scrambling. Clark is open. Clark inside the 5-yard line. Down at the 3. Ed Barry defending on the play.
Oh, that's a nice job by Doug Flutie. He's breaking to the outside. He gets some help. Ryan Warren looks like he's going to come over. Harding looks like he's got a chance. Romano comes over and gives him some help. He puts the ball right down in the open seam.
Just over 300 yards, 301 passing for Doug Flutie tonight, and a number of those passes have gone to Matt Clark out of the University of Montana, the rookie for the BC Lions. 82 of the 301 yards to be exact to Matt Clark. 4:05 to play. First and goal to go for the BC Lions, and they spot the ball at the 3-yard line. 31-13 favor the Argos.
Well, the yardage isn't bad, but the Lions are used to having about they're third in the league in points scored. They're averaging 36.7 points a game, and that's where they're falling down at this point.
Still working on Ed Berry. He's out of the field of play. They're now taking him to the bench. Chris Barber is into the game to replace Berry. Flutie elects to keep himself. Touchdown, BC. Doug Flutie. And Bob Obilovich is going to keep the offense on the field, so you know they're going to go for the 2 points. It is now 31-19. 2 points would make it 31-21, and the difference would be 10 with 3:52 to play.
Flutie comes right outside, knowing that he's got Volpe on the pitch, and Moan is between the two of them, so he takes Volpe. Flutie walks in for the score.
They're going for the 2 points. Flutie to pass. In and out of the arms of Jay Christensen. A super job defending by Brian Smith, preventing the 2-point conversion for BC. 3 minutes and 52 seconds remaining to play in the fourth quarter. Toronto leading BC 31-19. The 2-point conversion attempt failing. Julio Caravetta normally kicks off for BC, but it's Louis Pasaglia, so I think you can expect some sort of short kickoff, a little chip shot, and that's what you get. Worked last week against Saskatchewan. It may have worked here. The ball is loose. Still rolling around, but BC have recovered. The Lions. There is a flag down. It looked as if the Lions had recovered at the 20-yard line of the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, that was a nice kick by Louis. He popped the ball up, but it looks like they could have been offsides from their scramble formation on their kickoff.
Well, we saw that last week in the Calgary-Winnipeg game.
Vancouver number 19. Repeat the kickoff.
Same thing happened to the Calgary Stampeders. They recovered the ball, but they were offside on the kickoff. So what it means is the BC Lions will have to go back and do it again, this time from the 30-yard line.
A little tougher from the 30.
And once again, the Toronto Argonauts will be expecting it. Took 7 seconds for that play to take place. So they'll try it again. Louis Pasaglia. Again, the chip shot down the right side. This time, the Argos have it covered. Kevin Smelly. And Smelly up to the 53-yard line, where Toronto will have excellent field position. And we get a flag down on the play. But I've got a feeling this one will be for rough play after the tackle.
Well, Remy Trudell was put on the roster. Well, Obi isn't going to like any of this. He is incensed right now. He had the onside kick. Remy Trudell was called for being offside.
Objectionable conduct. BC number 28. First down.
And now Obi's got an objectionable conduct for number 28.
Lorenzo Graham.
And Bob Vespasiani, he's not very happy about it either. Because look at where they are. They're on the 47-yard line. So the pop-up kick wasn't very good strategy after the offside penalty. You don't want to give the ball at midfield to a team like the Argos.
3:25 to play, fourth quarter, 31-19. Argos lead. This is the Rocket. And the Rocket should have the first down with a couple of yards to spare. Brewster with an excellent block to get the Rocket outside, and the Rocket did the rest as usual. Just over 3 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Toronto 31-19 over BC. It's a relaxed Toronto Argonaut bench, and it should be. They have a 31-19 lead, but the way the BC Lions have come back this season in the dying seconds of games, I don't know that that lead is big enough, but not the way the BC Lions offense has sputtered tonight here at the Skydome. It has not been consistent, but full marks to the Toronto Argonauts defense for being able to shut down Doug Flutie and company. Few teams have been able to do it this season, but the Argos have been able to do it tonight. And full marks to that man. He has run a very consistent attack for the Toronto Argonauts. 12 of 15, 186 yards, 2 TDs, and 1 interception. Not a bad night's work for the former quarterback with the Edmonton Eskimos and the BC Lions.
Not to mention how he's done on option plays. You know, the quarterback is the key to that option.
First and 10, Toronto from the Lions 35. Dunnigan for the Rocket. And a good play by Norman Jefferson. He gambled at the last second and went for the ball, and it almost miscued.
They had him bunched in there on that wishbone formation again, and if Matt Dunnigan had been able to deliver the ball about 1/2 a second sooner, the defense wouldn't have been able to react. And the Rocket is down the seam, just wide open. Ball is just a little bit high, gave him time to get over and recover.
So the Rocket misfires on that one, but really no fault of the Rocket. Full marks to Jefferson. 2nd and 10 from the 35. They give to Smelly, and I can't figure that one out. What was the percentage in that play? On a 2nd and 10 situation, they give it to Smelly.
Well, Dunnigan's upset about something, I guess, because Wetmore came in and really gave him a kiss after he took the fake outside. But that's with long yardage, giving the ball to your fullback up the middle, not a good percentage call.
It very seldom, if ever, works. I've seen the draw work in situations like that, but not that kind of a play.
Not the wishbone give.
So it's a 3rd and 9 situation, and that brings on Lance Chomick. He's good on 3 out of 4 tonight.
And that's with a bad foot.
And this one will come from the 41-yard line. And it's good. So Lance Chomick is good on a 41-yarder, but a flag was thrown well after the ball had cleared the uprights.
Well, objectionable conduct, and it's on Matt Dunnigan, and he's talking to his favorite guy, Jake Ireland, and he told Jake that he should open his eyes and call roughing the passer when he sees it. But remember, Dunnigan was not a passer on that particular play, so you don't really have the protection when you hand off to your fullback and pretend you're running an option.
Objectionable conduct. Toronto number 16. First down.
And we won't tell you what he said, folks.
But after all that, the field goal is good. It is 34-19 with 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. And Dunnigan is still steamed. Now he's talking to his head coach, Adam Rita. It is 1st and 10 BC from their own 45-yard line. Flutie with the screen to Volpe. Volpe gets up to the 51-yard line.
Well, this is the problem they have. They're trying to have patience and drive the ball down the field, and there's only about 2 minutes and 3 seconds to go, so Flutie's going to have to dig into his bag of tricks here and get a quick touchdown in order for them to get anything going right now.
Well, he's been known to throw the occasional Hail Mary. It's worked for the Lions with Flutie at the controls in the past, but that one is complete to Jay Christensen, and that should get them the first down and keep the drive alive, but they're running out of time. Minute 50 to play, fourth quarter.
Well, the Argos are content to play back, drop back in a zone coverage, keep that wide, both sides of the field contained on Flutie, and let them have 10 yards of crack, because the time's going to run out before they get any scores.
First and 10, BC. 1:44 to play. The clock is running. Flutie. Complete. Matt Clark down at the 42-yard line, but each time Flutie does some scrambling like that, he eats up precious seconds on the clock. 1:36 to play, fourth quarter.
And I'll tell you what, the Alligators were snapping at Flutie's heels. Harding was in there grabbing at his ankles. Flutie just high-stepped him and still delivered the ball to Clark.
The ball's at the 42. First and 10 Lions. Flutie complete to Ray Alexander.
Well, you'd think they might have a little hitch and trailer here, because Volpe was right behind that play. Had Alexander had a chance to flip it out to Volpe, he would have had the sideline. So it might have been a call, or it might have just looked that way, but it could have been a go.
1:22 to play. Flutie was looking for Ray Alexander, and that was in and out of the arms of Ed Berry.
Berry would like to have a chance at that one again. That ball got bigger and bigger and bigger as it came right to him. You know, the coaches practice that too. They practice throwing the ball as you're coming towards the football in a defensive position, but it's a little different when you got a quarterback pumped up and he's really firing the ball.
Second and 10 BC from the Argos 27. Flutie, this time complete to Alexander. Don't believe he has the first down, but there is a flag down.
A little controversy surrounding Ian Sinclair, and looks like Campbell's having some words with him. Mike didn't like the holding call on the screen pass, and I don't think he likes this call.
Going against the Argos.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Toronto number 99. First down.
Mike Campbell called for unnecessary roughness, and that moves the ball down to the 10-yard line. Minute 11 remaining to play, fourth quarter. Argos lead 34-19. BC first and 10. Flutie puts it up, looking for Clark. Touchdown, BC. Matt Clark. And there are no flags down to nullify that play. Flutie once again had to scramble to find Clark.
Watch Campbell get cut by Groenwagen, giving Flutie time. Moan took the inside. Flutie's got time to deliver the ball, and he just plain flat out beat Wilson.
So is Doug Flutie setting us up for another miracle finish. 1:03 to play. It is 34-25. They've got to go for the 2 points. Remember last time they tried this, it didn't work. Flutie incomplete to Christensen. What will he do this time? Flutie. This time again trying to find Christensen. This time he was closer. Christensen got a piece of it, but couldn't hang on. So twice the BC Lions have tried the 2-point conversion, and twice they've failed.
Well, this time was a little different because they came back to the weak side, and he's really trying to pick. They went back and they crossed the receivers, hoping to get a pick on Wilson, and Christensen was open. Just couldn't control the ball. Watch for the onside kick. Now, what Obi said last week was that they got two guys that are 6'4". They've got Ray Alexander and they got Jay Christensen. They'll put them on the outside, so there is a threat for the pop-up kick to either sideline. And what they did to Saskatchewan last week is they kicked it right down the middle of the field, and they were able to recover it. So they got three options, really, either side with the 6'4" receiver or down the middle. I don't think they'll try down the middle because it worked last week.
This is a scenario we've seen on a number of occasions for the BC Lions this season. In the dying seconds of a game, down and seemingly out of it. And Doug Flutie has worked a little of that Flutie magic to bring them back in and tie the game, force overtime. Ray Alexander split wide to the left.
but they go to Christensen, and this time the short kick fails. The Argos have the ball at the 41-yard line of the BC Lions. Andrew Murray, the former BC Lion, may have just snuffed out any chance that BC had of pulling this one out of the fire. 1:02 to play. Argos lead 34-25.
Well, it wasn't a good enough kick. The kick had to be high and right on that sideline in order for Alexander to get a chance to knock it out of bounds. It fell short. The kick came short. Murray just went up and recovered before it went 10 yards.
First and 10, Toronto from the 41 of BC. Donegan tries the option and gets down to the 35-yard line. It was Holmes there to make the tackle.
Matthew Donegan wants to deliver the message that he's tough enough to take anybody's hit. He'll run through a brick wall if he has to. That's the kind of guy he is. I mean, he's just going to go down and punish some linebackers right now. That's what Donegan's thinking. I'm going to hit somebody.
The clock is running, less than 50 seconds to play. Toronto that close to running their record to 6-2 on the season. Depending on what happens in Winnipeg, it'll be a 2 or 4-point lead in the East. The Rocket, and again, great second effort from the Rocket. That'll be close to the first down if he doesn't already have it. Mark Jones and Bruce Holmes combining on the tackle.
When you get talent and effort combined together, then you've got a super player, and that's what the Rocket is. He's got talent, 4.2 speed in the 40, and he's got effort. Constantly churning and digging and driving and trying to get those extra yards. He's really a team player, and his teammates like him.
We're under 20 seconds now for Matt Donegan and the Toronto Argonauts. And Donegan just drops to his knee to kill off the clock. And we'll have time for one more play before this one will go into the books as a Toronto Argonaut victory. Remember, they lost in overtime to the Lions in BC on August the 1st. So these two teams will split the season series as Matt Donegan will bring the Argos up to the line one more time. Donegan goes down to his knees. This game is over. The Toronto Argonauts defeating the BC Lions 34-25.
One of the things that the Toronto Argonauts did, they played a complete game. I think what you're going to see with when you see the comments tomorrow from the head coach, Adam Rita, he's going to say, look, our defense played well. They did what they had to do. Our offense had an injury. Michael Clements, a key injury. They had Smelly out on occasion, but we did what we had to do. And our special teams really accounted for 2 of the touchdowns. They had a block kick for a touchdown, and they also had a short punt that led to another touchdown. So a complete game by the Argos, offense, defense, and special teams.
I think I'd give the nod to the Toronto Argonauts defense. They knew coming into this game that somehow they had to contain Doug Flutie and his tremendous ability to scramble, and that they did. And to me, that was the difference in the Toronto Argonauts defeating the BC Lions 34-25 at the Skydome tonight.
There's been reason to celebrate in Ottawa since Joe Farragelli took over. The Riders have won 3 in a row, and Reggie Barnes has become the leader of an effective Ottawa offense. The Hamilton Tiger Cats are streaking, but in the opposite direction. This despite talent on special teams and in the offensive backfield. Hamilton at Ottawa, Thursday night on the CFL on CBC. The Argonauts avenge an overtime loss to the Lions earlier this month. There was a large cast of stars in this game, and one who had star billing coming into it as our Molson MVP. Argonaut quarterback Matt Donegan went the distance for Toronto, and with the way things have gone for him this season, that alone should be enough to earn him MVP honors. But he also directed the Argonauts to victory, looked impressive all night, completed 12 of 16 passes for 186 yards, 2 touchdowns. This one to Darrell K. Smith, a 41-yard major score, made it 14-0. Argonauts in the first quarter, part of a 34-25 victory. And how did it feel to play a whole game for a change?
Oh, it felt real good.
I tell you, this is charity because I don't deserve this. Our entire offensive line deserves this because they're the ones who opened up the holes for our running game. We felt like we had to control the football, keep it out of Doug Flutie's hands, and offensive line executed the game plan to perfection.
You're probably right, Matthew, but the problem is it's hard to find pictures of those guys in action. But nonetheless, don't discredit yourself. You played very well. Looked like you had your rhythm tonight. You were in the groove.
Well, it's easy. I mean, when you got the guys working like that up front. I give the ball to Rocket. Earlier I gave it to Mike. Then I gave it to JP, Kevin Smelly. You know, and he spread it around a little bit, you know, in the air. And it's easy because those big guys up front control the line of scrimmage.
Testament to the depth in this team, Matt, I think, is the fact that you lose a player like Mike Clemens early in the first quarter. You still have more than enough weapons to handle the lines.
We felt it, though. We certainly felt his absence. But, you know, I thought that JP Escuero filled in admirably. Paul Nastasiak, you know, all those guys came in. We did some different things with formations, moved Rocket in the backfield, and tried to keep him guessing and keep the ball on the ground. So, like I said before, we could control the game, keep it out of Doug's hands because he's so deadly when he's got the ball and controlling the game.
And that summarizes it. That, I thought, was the best defense for the Argonauts tonight, for the offense to stay on the field and keep the ball away from Doug Flutie. That part of it worked well.
Yeah, we've been hearing that all week long, and I felt a lot of pressure, you know, to do that because, you know, to ask to keep the ball out of somebody else's hands. You know, our job is to move the chains, put the ball in the end zone, no matter how it's done. But we had to take our time a little bit more tonight. We didn't go no-huddle offense. We tried to huddle up, eat up the clock as much as possible, and Adam Rita had a great game plan, and like I said, offense and defense do their jobs as well as the special teams.
All right, Matt, congratulations. Honorable mention to the offensive line. How's that sound?
No, give it to him. I'm telling you.
All right, Steve, up to you.
Those guys on the offensive line always looking for credit. To take nothing away from Matt Dunnigan and the job he did tonight, I really thought it was the Toronto Argonaut defense containing Doug Flutie and stopping him from scrambling that made the difference.
I think you're right, Steve. The defense said that they weren't going to let Flutie get outside either side, and I think that was the key because Flutie loves to do that little fish hook, come back out around a slanting down defensive line. Those linemen went straight upfield, and yesterday Dennis was talking to us, and he said, what we have to do is not be very greedy. We can't go up there and grab him. We've got to go up and be in our position. Then when he comes to us, we'll get him.
You know, the other thing that the BC Alliance did not do tonight, which they have done on many occasions throughout the season, is establish a running game with John Volpe. They went to it, and then they went away from it.
Well, John Volpe is a super running back, and I think they probably could have used him more. What happened when the block kick occurred, then the other short kick, I mean, it started to become a 21-3 ball game, and I think you have a tendency to lose a little bit of your composure and you forget the running game. It was a mistake.
So the inability to run the ball and the lack of scrambling by Doug Flutie, the difference in this one, and full marks to the Toronto defense. Scott?
Steve, in the first 7 weeks of the season, the Lions went to overtime in 4 games, had the other 3 decided in the final minute. This one wasn't cut quite as fine. The Argonauts did enough early in the game to win it, and they're unbeaten at Skydome since October of last year. Our next telecast is only 48 hours away. We'll be in Ottawa, where the Rough Riders under Joe Farraghelli are rolling and hope to roll over the Hamilton Ticats on Thursday night. Want to remind you that coming up in most areas of the country tonight, full coverage of Day 4 at the World Track and Field Championships in Tokyo. Check your local listings for the start time in your area. Good night from Toronto.